That's Tues 1, 2. So thank you for the sound check there. Yeah, music peaking. That's not the best. Over on Discord, right? Yeah, got to be Discord. What's up? Hope you're well tonight. Steve in England. Fred got first. What's up on YouTube? How you guys doing? Good evening, folks. Sweets is here. Good evening, Shay. I see you guys. I see you there. What's up, Jeff and Wisco? Michael W. Shay, Sonia, Daryl, Sweets, Steve. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. Commercial Herschel over there on Kick. Good evening, guys. Get ready to go. Oops, we're late. Trouble Minds happening right now.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand on the Underground Media Network. Thanks, Shay, for the sound checks. Adjusting a little bit here. See if we can get this dialed in. Still having audio problems, as you can tell. If you're out there listening, I hope everybody is well tonight. I've got a doozy for you. Thank you for everybody who participated in the poll on the idea for the show tonight. I had a couple in my mind last night, so, I put up a poll on the Discord. So thanks for the votes, and bit better, keep on it. All right, good. All right, bump it down a couple more decibels. There we go. Okay, all right. That's going to have to stay for now because I have to keep my wits about me as we go about this. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Regarding all the rest of this stuff we're always talking about, it always comes back to one thing for me, and it's the human condition, which is why I'm here, why I'm talking about these things, and why, the world is the way it is that reality is one thing, but then you put people into it, and sort of the perceived reality becomes a whole other ball of wax. And it's always been, deeply on my mind, even as a youth, as I said in the past here, that we have a situation going on where we live in these reality tunnels, and we actually cannot even really, combine them, separate them. It's just so difficult to have conversations with people that believe different things, and it's clearly been used against us. And that's really been one of my things for a very long time on this show, is those control mechanisms, as I was talking about, the actual aspect of propaganda and whatnot. But it does come back to the idea of the shadow self. Audible now, not hot. Okay, yeah, you're good. I appreciate that. I literally appreciate the sound checks, because I can't know what it sounds like on the other end unless you guys tell me. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. So I was thinking, right? And let me start from the beginning, because I was watching this movie. This is where this all started. Okay. And this is weird. If you guys have seen this movie or haven't seen this movie, that's fine. Whatevs. It's irrelevant to the conversation other than the inspiration of how we got here. So there's a film released in 2017 called The Mummy. Okay. It's got Tom Cruise in it. Did you guys even know this thing released? Yeah. It popped on, what was it, Comet or something the other day, and I was like, over the weekend, I was like, what the hell is this? When did Tom Cruise get in a mummy flick? Like, what the hell's going on, right? Anyway, so the plot, of course, in ancient Egypt, Princess Amenet is in line to rule over the Pharaoh's kingdom until the Pharaoh sires a son, yada yada, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, the plot of this movie really does not matter. The thing that matters, and the inspiration from it, is I was kind of watching it, and not only does it have Tom Cruise in this film, it also has Russell Crowe. And Russell Crowe is playing, wouldn't you know, it's a Dr. Jekyll. And I was like, what? like, what is this? The Mummy meets Dr. Jekyll. Turns out what I didn't know is there's a whole bit where back in the day, because this is long before I was born, but there was sort of these reboot attempts of these ancient monster movies. And I say ancient, more like, it's 75 years ago or what, at the dawn of cinema type of stuff, right? But oddly enough, they were trying to reboot this whole thing called the Dark Universe. And it begins around the Mummy with, again, this plot line, and they were going to introduce Russell Crowe, which they did, as Jekyll, and of course Hyde as the other shadow aspect of himself. And, sort of to turn this all into like a new MCU sort of situation with, in particular, a new set of characters sort of refreshing the Mummy and Jekyll and Hyde and the Dracula and all the old goodies, right? Yeah, the old oldies but goodies. They were trying to sort of refresh it. Well, come to find out that the movie bombed. I think nobody saw it, and they lost a bunch of money. And then so they're like, well, let's pump the brakes on rebooting the monster movies for 2020 2017 is when this came out, right? But they had this whole plan, this whole like story arc and stuff and all the rest. But anyway, it's wild to me that you have these old stories that still, well, maybe they don't anymore. That's actually a good question. But they're still trying to reboot this stuff into Hollywood, almost as if the predictive programming has worn off, almost as if they want us to remember the tales of yore, almost as if maybe they just can't come up with any good new ideas. And that right there probably is the direct true answer if I'm just going straight for the chase and making a guess and putting my money on one thing. It's because they really don't have a lot of good ideas these days when it comes to making movies, right? So that's where I begin. And I started thinking about this. But the thing that caught me was not just a mummy, and Tom Cruise was supposed to be this guy that was not really the hero. He was sort of the anti-hero. He was the guy that was, like I said, the plot is irrelevant to this conversation, but he was unconvincing as the Tom Cruise hero we know from every movie. Now he's supposed to be sort of a scoundrel scumbag, worse than Han Solo type of stuff, and it's like, really? Like, is anybody actually buying this? Like, come on. It barely comes out in the plot because Tom Cruise is the hero. Don't you know it? Anyway, I'll stop bagging on Tom Cruise. I'm sure he's like 5'2" or something. Am I right? Okay. I'll stop bagging on Tom Cruise. No offense to Tom Cruise, but he thinks he's larger than life is my point there. Anyway, back to this. Now, the wild part regarding this whole thing was the Jekyll and Hyde. Now I was watching the movie, it came on and I was watching it and I was kind of interested. I was like, this is weird. This is kind of like, well, where does this lead? And then it turns into, of course, the summoning of trying to resurrect Set and all kinds of stuff. But the Jekyll and Hyde part was especially convincing to me. Not convincing, compelling for this particular reason, because it is a manifestation, once again, of our shadow selves, of literally the things we're talking about on this show all the damn time. And I didn't recognize this. Low end is overdriven. All right, thank you for that. I can fix that as we go. My goodness gracious, too many things. All right, but anyway, so I was looking into this, and I didn't realize this, but the actual aspect of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Edward Hyde was incredibly old. I thought this was like a 50s or 60s concoction, or, I've never dug into this particular story, but it turns out it's from an 1886 novella from, wouldn't you know it, Robert Louis Stevenson. And so, which means it's in the public domain. So we can do whatever we want to do with it, which is pretty cool. But here's the thing, right? And as we start and get into this, the questions and the ideas really become the same old questions, right? Literally the same old questions we've been asking for a very long time about a great many things, which is, all right, low gain. There we go. Click that. One moment, please. Let's see if we can actually adjust this and pump that down a little bit. Let me know if that helps. Low gain, down, down, down. Okay. But anyway, so the question is this, right? Because in the story, Dr. Henry Jekyll and his alter ego, Mr. Edward Hyde, is basically the manifestation of the shadow self of the doctor. And he creates this potion and drinks it, where he turns into this other alter ego, his shadow self that is personified and even recognized differently among people in the crowd, right? So anyway, that's where this is at. And so the question I have for you guys tonight as we get into this is, do you think it is possible in some capacity through biohacking or future technology that's on the horizon, is it possible to shut off your shadow self, or to, let's say, shut off your regular self and completely just become the shadow through technology? Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. I'll drop the bass down a little bit more. Thanks for the sound checks. We're going to get a word in this case from our sponsor, Human Inspiration. Like I said, trying to do 10 things at once. It's really difficult. Like I said, it looks easy on TV. It's not that easy. Anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute. And keep the question in mind, because this gets even more weird as we think about what comes next. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up after this. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith. This progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? I've pumped all the things down. Hopefully we should be good. Yeah. Race What's Up says the potion is called alcohol. It turns many into their shadow self. And I wasn't making a short joke. So I see the chat. I was taking a shot at Tom Cruise. He thinks he's larger than life. So I was merely pointing out that he's human, just like the rest of us, which kind of came through in the the movie itself, because he's the hero. We've been sort of indoctrinated to see Tom Cruise as the hero because, well, those are the movies that he plays, the roles he plays. Anyway, so Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Again, so the central character, blah, blah, blah. So living in Soho and West End of London, Jekyll is a kind and respected English doctor struggling with repressed evil urges. I wonder what those things are. As a potential solution, he develops a serum that he believes will effectively compartmentalize his dark side. Instead, Jekyll transforms into Edward Hyde, the physical and mental manifestation of his evil personality. This process happens more regularly until Jekyll becomes unable to control when the transformations occur. And of course, Dr. Jekyll roams Soho as Mr. Hyde, and Mr. Hyde inhabits Leicester Square as both himself and Dr. Jekyll. And so the reason I bring that up is recognize that even way back in the day, pre-Carl Jung, in sort of this modern psychological aspect of delving the human psyche, that this was recognized through intuition and through storytelling and through all manner of amazing things that humans really are tuned into without recognizing a scientific aspect for it. Back to our intuitive selves, just kind of knowing things to be true. Now, and so back to the question, I was kind of doing some deep research with, and these new AI systems are incredible, by the way. They do they'll dig for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and pull up 100 sources and really kind of go through the question. But I was asking, in this case, Grok, is if it's possible to, with modern technology, to actually do something like this, to delve out your shadow self, let's say to completely suppress it, or on top of that, to completely become it, okay, which of course would be terrible, right? Would be terrible. But you get the idea here. And so I was thinking about it, and really, of course, as usual, the question came to mind when I was thinking about this, just personally kind of tooling around town and doing what I do during the day. Would you want to? And do you think that when you sort of remove even an evil aspect of your identity or yourself, that you are still yourself? Right? Because sometimes there are lessons learned and mistakes made, all those things that, you can kind of go back and, well, you don't throw rocks at cars type of stuff, right? Not saying I ever did that, but I'm saying it's like a common kid thing that people get in trouble and realize people could get hurt and, some of this other stuff, right? Kind of you do weird stuff for kicks when you kind of don't know much better, but it still sticks. Like the weird stuff for kicks still kind of sticks even through adulthood and moving on, which again, the manifestation of that shadow self. Now, as usual, the question really, or sort of, I guess the answer, more like the answer, which is a good time, by the way, to drop all the disclaimers. There's no answers actually here. However, this is just ideas. If you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. I'm just talking about possibilities and sort of what it means to be human, and consider what this means together, right? Because these stories have been here for a very long time. Again, I didn't realize Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was so old as a story, but in this particular case, it kind of feels like it is maybe one of the most important stories. And so, cruelty and kindness, exactly right. And so I don't know. Yeah, Mike was a rock thrower. I wasn't, actually. I was a really good kid. But anyway, I digress on that. But you get what I mean. So I'm calling this, of course, Biohacking the Shadow. Jekyll meets Hyde. And is it possible then, in some capacity, any way, anyhow, ever, do you think, let's say now, 5 years from now, 100 years from now, or even into the technological singularity, to be able to do something like this that's, remove your shadow self? And would it be Would it be okay? Do you think it would? Do you think it would remove who we are? Anyway, so a few key points from this, just from the research, because the scientific stuff is incredibly important. Research suggests we are making progress in understanding and managing the unconscious mind, and this is from the deep research bit, 75 web pages. It thought for like 10 minutes and went through the whole bit and cited a whole bunch of actual academic sources and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, but we are not yet close to deliberately controlling our shadow selves like in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It seems likely that psychological therapies and some drugs can help manage shadow aspects, while psychedelics may allow exploration. But precise control remains speculative. Well, of course, enter troubled minds. Once you say speculative, I'm like, what? Huh? What are we talking about? Third point, the evidence leans toward future technologies like brain-computer interfaces, potentially offering more control. But this is still in the early ages and, of course, raises ethical concerns. So a lot of questions here, a lot of questions to start. And one, I want to know if you knew this. You probably did because you're all smarter than me. That Jekyll and Hyde is actually from 1886. Like this story is that old. I had no damn idea. I thought it was quite a bit newer than that. But that shows you my ignorance in a lot of things. But the deal here is that beyond it, is this something that you think we should actually start to chase and become or begin to become? Because, like I said, shutting off sort of lessons or impulses or things like this that maybe you've sort of conquered or come to control or whatever it happens to be may not be the best idea. Can it? Will it? I don't know. So that's where we begin. But anyway, so straight to the write-up. I'm going to read it from the write-up because it's better than me rambling on, but I've been doing some sound checks and pushing buttons and things. So thank you for that. I guess it's listenable. Sound check 1, 2. I hate that everything breaks. So the tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde captivates us not merely as Victorian fiction, but as a penetrating glimpse into human nature. Robert Louis Stevenson's Gothic nightmare articulated something we intuitively recognize, as I stated previously there, that within each of us lurks a shadow self, waiting beneath the surface of our carefully constructed personas. The good doctor's potion didn't create Hyde. It merely gave physical form to what already existed within Jekyll's psyche. The shadow waited there all along. This duality, of course, reflects a truth that haunts our understanding of consciousness. What Jekyll experienced through chemistry, we experience through the natural partitioning of our minds. The respectable face we present to the world stands in stark contrast to the impulses, desires, and capacities we deny even to ourselves. We are all, in effect, housing our own Mr. Hyde, which brought to mind another idea here as part of it. I don't know if you guys have seen this. We talked about it last year when it came out, but there's this TV series that's on Apple TV. I've only seen most of the first series, and I thought it was very well done, fantastic. But the series is actually called Severance. Okay, and so I'll just read you the little blurb from Wikipedia to catch you up if you don't know what this series is. I think it's very good, definitely worthy of a watch. I think season 2 is just coming out or just came out. Anyway, so Severance is an American science fiction psychological thriller television series created by Dan Erickson, blah, blah, blah. So the premise, employees at the biotechnology corporation Lumon Industries, Lumon, assigned to highly classified projects, must undergo something called severance. Okay, like I said, we did talk about this last year around the same time. And severance is a medical procedure that implants a device in their brain, ensuring they retain no memories of the outside world while at work and no recollection of their job once they leave. This results in 2 distinct personalities for each employee. The innie is what they call it in the show, who exists solely within Lumon, Lumon. I think they could have come up with a better name. Reminds me of Lululemon. No, thank you. And the outie. So they have the innie and the outie who lives their personal life outside of work. And so, of course, this sort of weird web weaves as these people start to recognize or don't recognize that they're like dead half the time. And the one side of themselves is dead to the other side continually as part of the plot kind of goes through. Like I said, it's very good. I think it's very well done, and it's worthy of a watch. I don't really I don't see a ton of things, but when I see something that kind of makes me go, damn, that's really good, that this is one of them. You know, the other movie that I started with tonight, The Mummy, I didn't go, damn, that's really good. I didn't do that. But also, by the way, just to mention, The Mummy on Rotten Tomatoes with Tom Cruise got 15% tomato meter and the 35% popcorn-o meter. So I don't think anybody was really impressed with that flick, but I digress. Anyway, taking the shots at the rich people out there. Anyway, okay, so yeah, exactly, quantum possibility. So this is the deal when you think about this. When I think about this, but what do you think about it? As usual, so the phone lines are up. Everything seems to be working. The Discord is up. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as we get past the break here. But basically, is it possible? So in this Severance television show, they're doing exactly this, except they're sort of intentionally manufacturing a fracture, a severance, and splitting off two completely distinct personalities within the same person. And depending on the clock, it's time to go to work. The flip switches and they forget their home life and they become the employee. Okay. And that's the weird part of this is that the same thing fits with the idea of Jekyll and Hyde. Could we do both? Could we do either? Could we do any of these things? And with technology sort of racing at the breakneck pace it does make me wonder about our shadow self. And many ideas kind of flow from this, but the whole point is, where does it come from? Is it truly part of us? Is it something that is built into every human that's ever existed? Is it some sort of tulpa aspect or egregore aspect that sort of, dare I say, haunted humanity at some point and has never left? We've talked about that in the past in quite a few different ways, but you see what I mean? Sort of haunting the temporal zeitgeist from the shadow perspective. And I guess you could probably, finger point to shadow people or, entities like the archons, things like this as maybe that haunting aspect of it. Or is it not? Is it completely natural within us? And, not to say that there's, some entity making people do bad things and that's why people do bad things. No, people certainly just do bad things. Like don't get me wrong. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. But is there something a little more to it, including, of course, the quantum realities of collapsing the wave function when it comes to deciding, between the angel on this shoulder and the devil on that shoulder. Okay. Which happens all day, every day, right? I don't know. It's incredible to think about. And that puts us about where we need to be. I got more from the write-up that I'll read talking about the Carl Jung, of course, formalizing this concept we're talking about as the shadow. But those aspects of ourselves are deemed, unacceptable, and et cetera, so on. And so, but they are part of us. And so the question becomes, do you think it's possible to sort of iron these out of ourselves? And two, do you think it's responsible, or is the shadow itself what makes us human after all? There you go. That's what's on my mind tonight. Thank you for the sound checks. I'm trying to do a lot of things here. As you know, the gremlins have been out like crazy for the last 3 weeks. And anyway, that, like I said, puts us where we need to be. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, we are taking your calls at 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that, but I don't know. What does this look like? And why does it seem like they tried to reboot these old monsters from the days of yore? I thought that was a little interesting as well. Are we really bereft of ideas in a world of AI where you can just brainstorm them until your heart's content? Strange, right? There's a lot of weirdness to this story. But anyway, one more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. We got Joe in Florida and your calls as well.
You're a paradox, caught in the light, in the dark. Jekyll and Hyde, changing shape, leaving a mark. Biohacks of the soul, trying to tame what's inside. Two sides of a coin, can we meet where we collide? You switch it up, I can't let go. Feel the rush, I can't control. Light and shadow, yeah we go. Let's dive deep into that overflow. In the mirror, who do I find? Hiding secrets, the unconfined. Fighting battles with reflexes. Path that lack me speech resistance leads to rage. Tech and heart, can they align? Find a balance in this grind. Transcend the fears we redefine. Together rise and intertwine. You switch it up, I can't let go. control. Light and shadow, yeah we go. Let's dive deep into that overflow. Underneath the surface we thrive. In the chaos we'll survive. Jekyll and Hyde, we're alive. Bringing shadows, feel the vibe. You switch it up, I can't let go. Feel the rush, I can't control. Light and shadow, yeah we go. Let's dive deep into that overflow. Fractured futures, we rewrite the code. With every heartbeat, we light the love. Unmasking truths, we tear down the walls. In this playground of euphoria, we rise, we fall. You switch it up, I can't let go. Feel the rush, I can't control. Light and shadow, yeah we glow. Let's dive.
Well, hello there. I'm getting mixed signals. Some people say this sounds fine. Some people say it's terrible. Consensus? Do we just kill it and then maybe never come back? Or can you guys hear me on the Discord? Am I understandable, at least? Ray Sweets, what's up? Lily, how you doing? We got Sonia. Good evening, guys. If I missed you, just say hi. Fred, what's up? Ioxy. We got Jen. Lily, Steve, what's up? Herschel, I see you. What's up? What's up? Hope you're well tonight. If I missed anybody, sorry about that. Hiker, we got YY's here. Good evening. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. It sounds okay to me, but this AI song is awful. Yeah, that's true. That is true. What's up, Puff? I had to dip. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of it. Herschel over there on Kick says better, but still a lot of crunching. Low end is overdriven. Okay, so I don't know if that has now or later. I've twisted a bunch of dials since then. Anyway, whatever. All right, here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. We got Joe in Florida. Let's ask him and get some feedback. If it's really unlistenable, then there's no reason doing this because it will come out in the final product, which is dumb. So anyway, here we go. Trouble Minds happening right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, well, could our darkest impulses exist as quantum possibilities in parallel dimensions? Might those meaningful coincidences actually be messages from shadow selves across probability lines? What if these shadows aren't even psychological aspects of ourselves, but separate consciousness forms that attach to humans? And you see where my mind's at. Suddenly you start with Jekyll and Hyde, which is an ancient tale, and you get to the Carl Jung and the shadow self. But then suddenly, there's a lot of wild ideas that sort of build out as part of this. But anyway, lots of ways to talk about this and consider it. And of course, Severance as one is one of the latest shows on Apple TV. Like I said, is very good. But it is sort of a structured way to compartmentalize the mind. And do you think we're close to something like this? And should we even try if we are? That becomes the question, right? As usual, if you're doing it right, you're asking if we should even try these things because the technology is accelerating so quickly. What comes next? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Joe in Florida. What's up, my man? Welcome to the joint. How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, sir. You're coming through loud and clear.
All right. Perfect. Weird topic. I don't know that I have much, but I just wrote a couple of things down. I have not seen Severance, but I heard it's really good. And probably scared to watch it. Because once I found out what it was about, whenever I hear that word and think of the show, I visualize part of my brain being torn out or being cut. Like the hemispheres being split. And it makes me feel uncomfortable, if that makes any sense. The visualization of that stuff. As far as addressing the Tom Cruise in the movies, just to kind of get that out of the way, I have become rather bored with a lot of TV. And everything's a pattern, some kind of duality, create, destroy, the pendulum, going one way, going the other way. You know, light and dark, like the song says, and gray, and there's gray areas. Maybe some of us want to live in the gray area, because it's a little more adventurous. But when it comes to that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing, I think of soldiers coming home. I think of what I do for work, that I seldom speak graphically about what I may see, and I wonder how I do my job, because I never intended to do what I've done. And although I've been spared a lot of hands-on bad things with maybe prepping or embalming somebody or taking care of bodies or reconstructing things, I've seen a lot of stuff that most people probably won't see in front of them in a lifetime on a table. And somehow I sleep at night. So what am I doing there? What is my mind doing there to protect me? You know, soldiers, same thing. Join the military. If you have to go out there, God forbid, to kill, you got to kill. How do you come back and function? So we've already been doing this, you know, through nature. And if we look at all the monsters from the Monsterverse, you know, even Godzilla, who's a favorite of mine, but those are reflections of us, you know. Werewolf, Dracula, things that we could wish to be or that we could do and get away with, and then conveniently have it go away in the morning or be asleep in the morning, depending on, you know, if you're a werewolf, lichen, whatever. But a lot of those stories are rooted in the way we behave, I guess, in the way that we used to behave before we maybe became a little more civilized. But our animal instincts are just underneath the skin, and we know that. And it's a scary thought. Now, if you could shut them off, like a TV show shows, if you could totally program yourself when you go into work to not remember one thing and remember the other, what's the purpose? Are we just drones?
Yeah, well said, all that. And I don't know those answers. It is interesting to me. Like, there's no way I'd be able to do it because a lot of my day is sort of ideation for the show and stuff. I'm trying to find inspiration everywhere. So my mind melds for sure. The two worlds kind of come together because I'm trying to find some thread that makes some sense and is worthy of a conversation, is interesting to me, that hopefully would be interesting to you, and et cetera, so on. So like it would never work to sort of separate the two things because the two things have become the same thing in some capacity, right? That's why I do the job that I do. I do have some downtime here and there. Sometimes it's a lot of downtime, which, you know, is a blessing, absolutely. But sometimes there's none whatsoever. Like the last couple of days, I just been running my ass off, and I'm coming home late from work type of stuff. So it's I don't know, it's a mixed bag. But my point is, separating those two things is not really something that could happen for me and still have this function. It's so strange because imagine, right, the old Peter Parker Spider-Man bit. You need to have one to really manifest the other, don't you? I think that, you know, it's two sides of the same coin, as we say.
For sure. And then I start to think of, you just made me think of creativity. I mean, let's say we have to work a job where we have to be creative, and that's maybe just one part of the brain. Maybe that's just one algorithm in our brain, one function in the program. So when you leave work, does that mean that creativity that you might put into the job, does that creativity go away in your social life, I guess? So what does that mean? You just come home and watch TV, which a lot of us do because we're tired, not because we don't want to be creative, but because we're tired, right? You know, in the real world, but what happens if that changes in the future? You know, if I am at a job where I'm working for Monsanto and I'm doing something with crops or flowers or something, but it's got to be kept top secret, and when I leave that job, that part of it is shut off, does that mean I'm going to be able to come home and enjoy my garden? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense because, of course, is the one thing, the grind that we have to do, the thing that makes us enjoy the other thing, right? I mean, I'm not saying one cannot exist without the other, but surely there's a decompression point, a release in there. Like
Exactly.
You said, go ahead.
And I wrote that down in the note. I put down like equals workout. Like for me, I try to play hockey once a week. So usually after I get that bit of endorphin high, I kind of feel a little bit loose. I feel a little bit better. And for me in particular, that typically takes place in the middle of the week. So on some weekends I'm on call, and with my job, there's a little PTSD because I'm on call a lot. I'm on call tonight. I'm on call almost a lot of nights out of the week. And sometimes you get woken up in the middle of the night and you got to get that phone call. I'm not going out picking up bodies. We have a transport service for that. But it's still the fact of you're afraid of that phone ring. When is the next shoe going to drop? All of those things. And I can't shut that off. So it'd be interesting to see this show. Because if it's just for that job in the show, but that brings up a whole other aspect. Those of us that are tied to our jobs 24/7.
Yeah. So would you? So would you be able to shut it off? I don't think you could. You'd have to be the on-call manager 24/7. Which means, did you have your fun self, or are you always all work and no play makes Joe a dull boy?
Well, I will literally go DJ when I'm on call, and one time the club closes like 2:45 in the morning, so it's quiet, and like at 3:15 in the morning the phone goes off, and everybody at the club kind of laughs because they know I'm a funeral director and I'm sitting there dispatching a call. So yeah, I'm doing one job and I'm still doing another, and I'm actually fortunate to be able to do that because, I could put in an 8-minute song, walk outside into the street and try to get to a quiet area and get a body, get somebody picked up, get a dispatch and get that going. And go back in. If it's an 8-minute song, usually it's a New Water song, it's 8 minutes. So I have to set a clock and do that, But that is part of me, and then that's the other thing is what measures ourself, what measures a person. When I read obituaries, and I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit longer than I thought, but you're bringing up a good point. You're making me think. When I write a lot of obituaries, how do people want to be known? Do they want to be known about their job? Do they want to be known about their personal life, or a little bit of both? Right? So I see a lot of that. I see people say to me, put down that he worked for X and X Aerospace. Okay. And then sometimes you don't read a lot. Sometimes you see a lot of achievements. If you hear that noise in the background, that's my Chihuahua. He's like 15 years old and he's like coughing. So I apologize if anybody hears that. But, you can read all those accomplishments and it's great. They know 3 languages. They do this, they do that, But then part of me is like, what did they actually do? They may not have a lot of people that show up for the funeral, right? So what did they do in their personal lives? So how do you weigh that? How do you weigh the measure of a life? How do you weigh, how do we get measured when we're gone? And I'm trying to take that, from a death perspective now, all of a sudden. How do you want to be known? So some people, I'll give you another example. Some people, they're veterans. And I tell families, do you want to have the honor guard? Or do you want to be buried in a veteran cemetery because it's free for now? And a lot of families, some families will say, no, that wasn't a big aspect or a big part of their life. And maybe that's because they came out with a very bad or negative experience. Yeah.
Well,
so in that case, maybe if people had PTSD and things like that, and we know that there's drugs out there that could dull memories that maybe have happened recently, like God forbid, sexual assault victims and things like that. But if the technology was perfected, I guess it's another one of these ethical questions of how would it be used and who would use it,
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? So in Severance, it's a procedure. It's a chip or whatever they put in your head. And so the question really becomes if you could separate the two and create distinct personalities within oneself, then certainly you could make 5 or 10 or 20 or 50. And I mean, talking about like the Manchurian candidate on steroids, like what the hell does that look like? And how would you sort of manifest them out in terms of, you know, like the alarm goes off in the morning and you're this person instead of that person. It's, I don't know. It really sort of opens up that fractal weirdness of what this would look like if you could fracture the human mind into distinct personalities. Yeah. Wild, huh?
Yeah. And then, you make me think about, like, if consciousness isn't really stored in the brain. So basically, if we are just avatars experiencing ourselves, you know, what does that circuit do? What does that implant do? How does it directly work? Is it, you know, if we're constantly being fed the bad and the good at the same time, like I think you said earlier in the intro. So if we're being fed the whole frequency, does that algorithm or does that chip shut down the part of the brain, the chemistry or the chemical in the brain that makes us not want to kill or makes us not want to do this? I don't know. It's really bizarre when I start to think about it, at least. You know, can we pull in, you know, are we pulling in other things by shutting something off? You're drowning out one voice and you're letting another voice come in. And how does that work? If consciousness is not stored in the brain, if we're just walking antennas, if that makes any type of sense from past shows.
Yeah, the old consciousness is primary aspect. And it certainly does, by the way. I, as usual, a lot of ways to look at this flow through my mind, which, of course, spawns myriad ideas as part of the conversation, which is the whole point. And so what do you think regarding that? Let's say we are just the antennas. Is it possible that, let's say, the shadow self of the human being is amplified in some capacity by something like the archons, like I described previously? Meaning that if we were able to sort of isolate this and remove it from ourselves, be able to just switch it off like severance, then do you think that we would be the same or
well,
go ahead.
It's happening now. Again, you're making me think, which is good because I've, you know, and this is what I think of. This is what just popped in my head. So you have a conversation with people you know about everyday life, and the minute sometimes you bring up politics, Agent Smith from the Matrix shows up. Do you understand that analogy? Have you had that conversation with people where you can't change their mind? Agent Smith just shows up and the part that might have been your friendly neighbor just gets shut off and the soundboard for whatever belief you have shows up. Okay. I had the conversation Wednesday in the locker room. I play hockey with a group of guys. And sometimes I have little ethical concerns of, do I want to skate with these guys because these guys believe in a certain way? But we don't ever talk about it, which is good. But there's another group of guys that are deep down the rabbit hole of the letter conspiracy, which I will not say on this show, but we talked about it a while ago, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then there's us here. Well, and then there's us here that I consider most of us OG, like we just want to know if there's aliens and if the UFO is going to land. Like, that's my deal. You know, like, that's it. I took pictures. Actually, I should post some pictures. I took some pictures of some weird cloud formations this weekend. You know, I haven't been running around if the sky is falling and saying stuff like that. We'll just kind of want to go to work, do my thing, and that's it. But we've all had conversations with people as friends, and then maybe that conversation turns into, like, don't talk about politics and religion at the table. Because the minute you do that, people change. It already gets turned off, and Agent Smith shows up, like in the Matrix again. That's what comes close.
Yeah, which is the programming, by the way. So if you bring up some political talking point, which is clearly binary propaganda, and you do it to almost anybody, the whole analogy there is it's the Agent Smith effect. We've done a full show on this in the past and talked about it from time to time. You're right, that the programming comes out of us because you say XYZ from this perspective. And so, of course, if we've been paying attention to both sides, or we really believe in one side versus the other, whatever, those programming aspects come out of us to answer what that looks like or what that is. And so, as you're describing, metaphorically, we become Agent Smith protecting the Matrix because that's exactly what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to argue with each other about asinine nonsense, really.
I wonder too, because, you know, are the 7 deadly sins actually the archons? Because let's look at all of our leaders now, all of them. I'm just going to lump everybody in. We have narcissism and greed in play. So what are the combinations in the video game if we really looked at it? Like, how many types of people are there out here? We all kind of match, I think, into a type, right? I don't know. So, and then I look at, like, I'm watching Star Trek. I'm watching the original, not the original, but I'm watching, like, Enterprise lately. And you start to mention, you know, you start to look at in Enterprise, they're trying to, like, show the start of the Federation. And, you know, one of the Vulcans basically says that the people of Earth are like everybody wrapped into one. So, like, the Vulcans use logic. Other races like to argue. There's a race that likes to argue, and they take that as as respect if you argue with them. Another race might be a little bit paranoid. Another race might be very duplicitous. Another race is the warrior race like the Klingons. But in the show, they basically say that we have all aspects of that. So it's already been, you know, that's already been fleshed out, I guess, for sci-fi, for TV shows, you know. But in real life, of course, we've been programming. This is a long running con of being programmed, however you look at it. Whatever programming we want to break. You know, I was raised if I worked 50 or 60 hours a week. Now that's gone. I'm working for a family place. They don't want us to work past 4 o'clock. I can get done. They want to give me a little opportunity to make some extra money. That's great. I can't go back after that, right? I can't go back to the pizza party instead of the raise, right? But we've all been programmed for that. And hopefully the younger generation's waking up to that. But that's what these leaders are afraid of. That's why these leaders have been in power for 30 years. That's why they die in power. Because they have to keep the brainwash up.
It's so strange to me why that happens. It's like they get a taste of power and they can't let it go. I mean, imagine like you spend 20, 30 years in politics, whatever it is, and you're not 100 years old yet. You know, you got some time to sort of just chill and relax. But like that level of influence and control and power that drew them to that, they just can't let this stuff go. And you see these dinosaurs out there. Again, no offense to the boomers. I love the boomers. All the generations are great. But you get what I mean. Like there are people that are freezing in public and falling down and breaking their hips. Hey, stop it. It's time to get out of Congress if that type of stuff is happening. What the hell is going on?
Exactly.
And I'm with you 100%. Yeah, it's horrific.
So,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, there's 2 callers, but I see callers up there, so I'm just going to cut it short. I've rambled way too long. I haven't been on the show for a while, but I listen in here and there. But anyway, it is an interesting topic. I hope that you know, I thought about that implant chip that he's got, the neuroplant, whatever, that the South African has. But part of me wonders, everybody that maybe wants to get that chip maybe wasn't excited about getting an injection. So I look at all this hypocrisy and things like that. I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to bring. I don't know that I want to be implanted with something. I don't know. As much as I think transhumanism is cool, when you sit back and think about it, it's really like a wow, what can they do with that?
Yeah, 100%.
What's in you?
100%. If you got, so hang tight with me for just another couple minutes here, because we're about that weird point. If we get a caller, I'll have to cut them off. So regarding the aspect of our shadow, do you think it's possible that bit of us is influenced somehow? Like I said, that entanglement bit or archons or something else? Yeah, go ahead. Just riff on that for a second, because I didn't get a direct answer on that from you. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, does the shadow get influenced? For sure. We see it now. I mean, what is it? The id, whatever, you know, the id, the superego, and all of that. Like, basically, we are easily triggered now, right? And when we're easily triggered, I would think that that's our shadow self or our dark side. And it just depends if that triggering is just a split second where we yell or we flip off the handle and we stop, or does that go into fisticuffs or taking somebody's political signs off their front lawn, you know, or going to protest somewhere and storming a building, you know, whatever you want to call that. That's our shadow self. That's our group mentality. That's the group think. That's all the influence coming out, you know, of people scared possibly that somebody else is going to take away their stuff. Me and my friend had this debate a lot, and she says, people are afraid that the rest of us are going to come for their mountain of dirt or for their trailer park, whatever. Okay. But they have figured out how to get into our deepest rooted fears. And that's been used against us in this last chapter of a game, I think, because I don't know how long they can keep this charade up. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could tell you there was a protest here the other week, and I drove by it. I couldn't show up because I don't want to have my face put on that thing. It's unfortunate. I mean, I have responsibilities and things, and I have my beliefs, and I was proud that I saw people of all ages there doing their thing non-violently, but at the same time, they were being antagonized. And that's your shadow self. We get antagonized, and we're antagonized very easily nowadays, it seems. Yeah. It's very tough.
Yeah, it's like you're not at a protest unless you're daring somebody to punch you. It's like, really? Is this what this always devolves into? And it kind of seems like that's the point of it. Is it's just like, let's get some cameras down there and egg the other side into throwing the first punch, and we'll call them the terrible people. By the way, egging somebody on to throw a punch also makes you a terrible person, by the way, just throwing that out there. Go ahead.
Well, the funny thing is I did want to spend the money and buy some eggs and throw them. But I'm not of any particular person, and I also did want to dress up with a white sheet as a ghost and say this was the ghost of the Warren Commission, because the protest was at the office of a certain political leader that lives here in Florida that said that they were going to subpoena, I believe, the Warren Commission, which they're pretty much all dead.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. I can go if there's other callers here, if you're getting to the commercial.
Yeah, you're the best. We got about a minute left if you got a final thought. I think there's a lot of things in play here. And you're right. The Agent Smith effect really kind of calls into question our identity. And recognize, I've said this before in the past, your high school identity is certainly not who you are now. So how does that change, and what triggers those things to change it? So there is societal influence, as we described, but in this case, is it possible to bioengineer it or something? Go ahead.
You absolutely hit on stuff. Friends that I had in high school up in New York and stuff, I see them on Facebook now, and that's the only social media I really use. But that, they're in one party, and, and I want to make sure that, I was firmly, independent in the middle, I hate both of them. There should be other parties. But I was shocked at what some of the other people, are at now as grown adults, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad because you're like, oh, do you want to go see these people? I have no relation to them. And then the other thing is like you said, the ego and all of that. I'm kind of rambling, but when I DJ, I cover for a friend of mine. I'm very careful. I don't have a DJ name. People call me, or they'll be like, hey, do you have social media? You're doing a good job. And I just kind of laugh and say, I don't have a name. I'm nameless. I don't want to be bothered. Don't even give me if your request sucks, you're going to get kicked out of the booth, But that's the way I kind of carry my power is I'm a jerk, but I'm a quiet jerk. If I ever hit the lottery, I just kind of want to go in the corner. I might buy the house next door, tell my wife to leave me alone. I'll live next door and just let me do my own thing.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. So, the music means we're out of time. Thanks for staying up late with us. Yep. Thanks for the call. Always a pleasure. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
Thanks a lot. You too. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way.
In a cryogenic slumber, lost in the lunar night, your face a faded number among the stars so bright. Dreams of forgotten echoes, waiting for time's command. Curtains of gray and sorrow, the lonely lunar sand. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried. Silent by your raging souls reside, suspended in a story, kept in the cold dark tide. Our futures in the making, in a silver-edged domain, hearts kept in silent aching, till we meet once again. sky of the love we tried. Frozen time we're resting, waiting for dawn's embrace. Whispers of love confessing in this forgotten place. We are awakened below the moonlit sky to the fragments of the love we tried. With the morning glow, and the light will come to know. We are awakened below the moonlit sky, up to the fragments of the love we tried. In the depths of lunar silence, our destinies intertwine. Memories kept so vibrant in the vacuum deep in mine. The tale of cosmic yearning across the astral sea, and the fires of hope still burning for when you finally breathe free.
Yeah, test 1, 2. Everything seems to be fine on the streams, and don't remember, guys, that the output on everything I do is optimized for the stream. It's going to be YouTube and Rumble and all the rest. So the Discord's going to be sketchy. So it was acceptable for the call there. Thank you for the call, Joe. Fire stuff, and as always. Yeah. So I do know that the audio is off, and it's literally been a 3-week plus thing. It's I'm wrestling with the audio shadow myself. So gremlins are out in full effect, but thank you for the feedback. No, yeah, you're good. I do know. Thank you. Like I said, if you don't, please do tell me, because if you don't say something, I don't know. And I don't know sort of where to look to fix it. So tell me what you're hearing. Don't try and figure out my inputs and outputs. Just tell me what you're hearing. It'll help me sort of narrow down what it might be and how I can help change it. So yeah, what's up, Sarah? How you doing? What's up, Gaston? Michael W, Jeff and Wisco Lily. What's up, Kramos, Joey, Apoc? We got Ricky Sweets, Sarek, Stephen England, Daryl, Matsell, Sonia, Herschel, and Joe. Thanks for the call. Coming up next, we got Herschel first and Sonia next. You guys are the best. Thanks for being patient with each other and waiting and sharing the airwaves. And who did I miss? If I missed you, just say hi somewhere and I'll say hi back. What's up, Gordo's here? Good evening. I see you guys. Like I said, my life, it seems like my entire life has become sound checks. And like I said, when you're dealing with firmware and stuff, it's one of the most POS things in the world. But anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up. What's up, Bobby Broadway? I see there. Here we go. Starting right about meow. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockvin. No, not Rockvin. Rockvin rug pulled us, so we're not streaming there. YouTube, Rumble, X, D Live, and Kick. We're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight we're talking biohacking the shadow. Jekyll meets Hyde. Now, all it means is integrating the shadow, right? Now, it's a psychology term. It's a Jungian term. It's one of those things that we've talked about quite a lot on this show. But it's also a fascinating aspect of the human experience, and that there is a dark side. Not just to everything we do and every individual, but the underbelly of society, which is basically what this whole show has always been about, recognizing the underbelly of society and the shadow that we have to live in. Because you guys know, you're all smart enough to know that we live in the upside down, as I like to call this. And as we talked about previously in many different ways, that you're trained in school to be a particular way and function in a particular space. And then you get out of school and you're like, this is nothing like what they told me, right? And then you're like, okay, so I'll do more school. Then you do more school, and then you're like, go get a job. And then they're like, wow, this is nothing like what they told me. Anyway, you get it, right? It's like layers and layers of deception that nobody's supposed to talk about. And then you do, and you're ostracized socially and kind of cast out from society. It's nuts. Anyway, so biohacking the shadow, is it possible to actually take Jekyll and Hyde and merge them, or decouple them entirely and throw one out? That's really the question tonight, through technology or some other means. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Thanks for being patient, friends. Let's go to Herschel in Arizona. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Hey, I'm doing okay. How's everybody doing? Thanks for taking my call. Really cool calls tonight. Joe was great. Joe's always he should never apologize. He's like,
agreed. Joe was always great. Always great. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is something that I have been thinking about lately because of my stories. Like most of you know that, like, I wake up, I write the first thing that comes down in my head, and then I write a story about it. And I very, very, very rarely know where the story is going to go when I start it. Once in a while, I have an ending in mind, and I have to build toward the ending and, kind of write backwards. But usually I just start writing, and then the ending is a surprise. And sometimes it gets dark. The writing like that is you're diving into your subconscious, and it's art is vulnerability. You've got to be willing to be vulnerable. One of the things that I noticed this last time, the story I'm going to read for you guys tonight, I was doing my flash fiction February. I wrote 28 stories in 28 days, one every single day. And it was going well. I was getting so many downloads. I was getting like 25, 30. That, for me, that's a lot. 25, 30 a day on Substack, and then another like 25, 26 a day on YouTube. I started doing YouTube begrudgingly, and, got a bunch of new subscriptions there and stuff. And then I did this story, and they dropped. I think people don't like the heavy, dark stories. I think that they like the more innocuous, fun, alien, science fiction, just goofy, funny stories more, And I think as soon as I did that story, my downloads just dropped radically.
I wonder about that. If it's actually like a manifestation of that, or an algorithm change. It's really impossible to tell, sort of from the outside of it.
Yeah, it could just be that. It could just be that the people who were listening were bummed out by that story and said, "I'm not going to listen to this guy anymore. That freaked me out." It could be that. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because it was right after that story that my downloads just dropped radically. Because it got scary, and that's that side of us that comes up sometimes. It's there, and I don't like suppress my thoughts. It's I let what's going to happen, and so I want to read this story. And just so everybody knows, whatever the kids say, trigger warning or whatever, it's not, it's not gross. Like it's not like obscene or something like that, but it goes from like a cute story to like very dark, very fast.
Okay, so earmuffs, trigger warning, all the things apply, guys. This is an 18+ show anyway, so if you're a kid listening to this, you should probably consult your parents, or maybe it's bedtime right now, or
or maybe not.
You've just
I don't know. It might go over their heads.
You've just boosted the ratings, Herschel. You just boosted the ratings. They're like, ooh, spicy stuff. We're staying up for this now. Go ahead, what you got?
Yeah. So this is a story called Skitter. And it's about a cat named Skitter. He's a fun cat. That's how the story started. I'm going to write a story about a cute, fun little cat, because I was thinking about my neighbor's cat. And then this story came out. So Skitter, this story came out. Skitter is Benny's cat. He's a fun cat, very loving. He seems to always be very happy when Benny gets home from school. They usually wind up playing for a while before Benny settles into his homework. This was the case today. After dinner, Benny watched a little TV with his dad. Then he went to his room to do a little extra credit reading. Not long after, he heard his great pal, Skitter, scratching at the door. He lets Skitter into the room and he goes back to his spot on the bed to read, and Skitter joins him up there. The cat paces back and forth, seemingly impatient. Then he subsides, sits down in the direction of Benny, watching him. Skitter, relaxed, just stares at Benny while he reads. Benny's dad checks in and tells him it's time for lights out, but he can read with the lamp while he finishes his chapter. His dad turns off Benny's overhead light, and Benny switches on his table lamp. Skitter sees his shadow cast on the wall next to the bed from the table lamp. It's a big shadow. Benny laughs as Skitter rears up on his hind legs and confronts the dark mass on the wall. He growls under his breath and then flips himself onto the bed. Benny adores this and he pets him. Suddenly, Skitter stops. He turns his head toward the middle of the room, away from Benny and away from the shadow. He sees something. He gets up on all fours and stalks something invisible. What is it, Skitter? What do you see? Benny asks. The cat digs into the bedding, almost inaudibly growling nervously. His pupils are opened wide and the hair is standing up along his spine. Skitter hisses loudly, almost screeching. He settles down. He slowly examines the side of the bed down to the floor, looking it up and down. He jumps down and inspects the area of the room he had been frenetic about. The cat circles a spot on the rug. He paws at it, then sniffs. He jerks his paw with disfavor. He is visibly affected by the experience. What's the deal, Skitter? What happened? Benny asks him again. Skitter jumps up onto the bed again and situates himself on the edge of the bed. He looks out into the room. Then he looks over his shoulder at Benny. Benny reaches over and tickles the bridge of Skitter's nose. Skitter purrs loudly. He seems to be over whatever the spectrum was hiding from Benny. There's a knock on the door, and it's Benny's mom. You should clean up for sleep now, Angel. Benny agrees as his mom comes in and sits with him on the bed. I don't know if you're aware of it, Benny, but it's been a year since your sister passed away. Skitter yowls horrifyingly while glaring at the spot on the rug. He leaps from the bed and out of the room. The end.
Whoa. Whoa. The acceleration is quick, not just with the technological space, but with Herschel's storytelling. We start with a cuddly little kitty. We end with a poltergeist haunting. Or something to that effect. I love it. Fantastic. A lot of people in the chat commenting on how they love your stories, they love your voice, they love your delivery, all this stuff. If Joe in Florida is fantastic, also, as you know, Herschel is fantastic. Great stuff.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So that's a thing, you know, and that happens sometimes. Most of my stories aren't like that, but I've had some that are so dark that I don't print them. Like I don't publish them. One of these days, I'm going to take all of those stories and do like a Halloween special, like Halloween book or like an audio book or like a Halloween live stream or something like that. That might be something I do. I've got like 4 or 5 of them that are just chilling. And, you know, it's hard to know what happened. Like, it's hard to know how. Like, I think I might do that this year. I might plan for that, you know, because I've got 4 or 5 of them.
That sounds like fun. Put it on the calendar. Do it with us. Love to hear them.
Yeah. We maybe that's a good idea. So what I want to do, though, I want to tell everybody, if you don't mind, I'm going to just, I'm not really going to plug, but I just got to tell everybody that I'm changing the name of my podcast from Smell the Inside of Your Nose, do it right now, to the Easytopian, because it's shorter and it's funner and it'll probably stick with people a little bit more. That podcast name is fun for me and it's about meditation, but at the same time, it's really long. But Easytopian is like not long.
I like it.
And it's Go ahead.
Just real quick, as you know, I have a hard time remembering which part is or isn't in my head.
Yeah.
Smell the inside of your nose. Do it now, or what? Like, I completely understand because it's difficult to remember. Okay, so I know something about smelling the nose, right? That's it. But it is super long and it is super disjointed. So a good take on that.
Yeah.
I do love the new name, Fire Stuff. Yeah. What else you got? Go ahead.
Yeah. The Easytopian, and you want to be an Easytopian. You don't want to be a 2-minutarian. You do want to be an Easytopian, but that's just a thing I just came up with a long time ago. And I said, you know what, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it. But what I'd like to do too is just, I started a Discord myself for like storytelling and storytellers to talk about writing theory and influences and things that inspire you to get stories prompts and things like that. So what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, is I'd like to just put my Discord in the Discord chat for the people who might want to join my Discord to talk about storytelling and writing and stuff like that.
Of course, please do. I'll kick it to all the other chats as well. Drop that link in there, and I will spread it out, and I'll put the link in the description as well. Yeah, a lot of different communities budding here, and so by the way, too, regarding that stuff, like I'm following like 100 Discord channels, and I have my own here to manage. So if you don't see me interacting a lot, or I get tagged and stuff and don't answer, just recognize I don't have enough hours in the day. So it's not personal. I promise.
I get it. I get it. I promote Troubled Minds in my Discord every show, and I promote Hard Lens Media, my other favorite show. Those are my two favorite shows. I promote them both.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
In my Discord.
I'm just as a reminder to everybody, because I know everybody's got a Discord server out there. It's just really difficult to keep up with all the stuff. I to be perfectly honest, I only read like 25% of the Troubled Minds Discord because there's just too much, and some of it's politics, and some of it's all kinds of other stuff. So I there's probably like 5 or 6 channels I actually follow and read, and because I respond in those channels. But anyway, amazing stuff. We got calls we got to get to. Unless you got more, you tell me.
All right.
You tell me.
No, I'm good. I just want to say thanks for the nice compliments, everybody. And, I'm pretty soon going to be ready. My book is going to be ready for print on demand, like in the next week and a half.
Okay.
So, I'll make sure, and I'm getting ready to release another book. 2 more books, actually. So, I'll keep you posted on that. And I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks a lot. And thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Keep the great calls coming. See you around.
You're the best. Commercial Herschel, check out his Substack. Just like that, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says follow Herschel. Please go check out his book. Again, we got his the print book coming up. And when that actually hits, we'll drop that in all the chats. Let's help each other. Like, this is the whole point, right? You can go help some jerk on Fox News or CNN or whatever and buy whatever nonsense they're printing, which is just binary propaganda for the most part. I recognize there's some nuance there. Or you could help Herschel, right? You could buy James's book. You could buy Sonia's book. You could buy my coming book, because I've got one coming as well. But this is the type of stuff, helping each other. Okay, it's important. And it's like I said, we don't have to stamp on each other's faces to get to the top. Let's collaborate instead of compete. And that's what's always been on my mind with this whole thing. And I think we've done a fine job of it to this point. And I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for caring about the ideas and the conversations, and love to hear what you think. We're talking biohacking the shadow, Jekyll meets Hyde. Do you think this is possible? And do you think it's actually a good idea to fragment the mind in any particular way through some sort of technology? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Thanks for being patient. Sonia, you are up. How you doing tonight? And go right ahead.
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yep, you sound great, loud and clear. Go right ahead.
All right. So we're talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Robert Louis Stevenson's original.
Correct.
And whenever I read it and whenever I watched the movie, by the way, they're way different between the two of them. But I wondered, was it some kind of chemical that might have changed Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde, like a drug or alcohol? Or, I guess alcohol is a drug, really, technically. Or maybe some kind of... giardiasis, toxoplasmosis, leishmaniasis, some kind of pathogen that he may have come into contact with that made him sometimes okay and sometimes way different? Or was he just schizophrenic and it might have been some kind of just change in, and nobody can really explain why schizophrenia, but a lot of drugs and a lot of different diseases cause schizophrenia, but schizophrenia devoid of the drugs and devoid of the diseases, nobody could really explain why it happens. So I don't know. I'm torn because at times in my life, I have felt almost like a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde. I've been a certain way and been completely a different person at exactly the same seeming moment and seeming the same, I don't know, the environment may be exactly the same, but I may be a completely different person at those same times. But I may not be on drugs, and most of the time I'm not. And I hope I'm not like having any kind of parasite infecting my body, making me change. But is it not a regular human experience to be completely different in one moment and in another moment?
I think it is.
Devoid of any kind of changes in the environment. Can you be exactly two completely different people with everything around you being exactly the same?
Yeah, it's a great question. And that's the basis of this. And not only that, our intuition told us so. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote about this before Freud and Jung were into this. And it's clearly something that we've been dealing with for a very long time. It's sort of maybe that, I know you've heard the term lizard brain or our primordial self or something to that degree. We certainly recognize that identity is one of those sort of flitting things when it comes to being human. So I bring this up a lot. If you were the stoner kid in high school, or are you still the stoner kid now? Or are you like, some respectable business person or whatever, right? And I'm just using that as an example as how things change. We change. And as you very smartly pointed out as well, that sometimes it seems like the randomness between this change and that change is the challenge, which may actually be the shadow self sort of manifesting. I don't really know. It's a wild thing to consider that we're really not under the control of ourselves all the time. And there's some chaos factor out there that we're kind of wrestling with,
Absolutely. Yeah. And well, whenever other people look at you and look at everyone, in your mind, are you actually perceiving what they are seeing in you, or are you perceiving whenever they look at you as being something else and, totally misconceptualizing what people believe about you because you just don't understand what people see in you? That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways because I like the way your mind works. It goes a few different ways at the same time. And because there's so many threads here. But yeah, and by the way, too, that's one of the things that's always been a conundrum to me is we want to be socially accepted, right? But also, by the way, if we sort of just chase social acceptance, we become sort of a clone or a clown or a clown clone or whatever. We don't really become ourselves. And so the difference between the space of that and this, and I don't mean this, I mean whatever that is it's complicated. And I don't know, I don't have that answer, to be honest, but my personal sort of salvation came from you guys, came from these conversations, recognizing that, hey, look, I'm a weird dude. I think about weird stuff. And if I didn't think about weird stuff, I would be dead inside. If I couldn't talk about weird stuff, I would be dead inside. Because I'm telling you, I sense it. My intuition tells me there's something way more bizarre than we ever dreamed of. And why aren't we talking about it? And here we are. So kind of locking out, my point in bringing that up is locking out sort of the outside influence of who cares? Look, if nobody likes you, who cares? And that stoic mindset weighs heavy on me a lot. And I think about it a lot because, if you control the things you can control, everything else has a way of falling into its own place, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and I couldn't give a shit less whether anybody accepts me or likes me or not. But okay, so I was reading the chat, and Bobby Broadway talked about dream journals, and that is absolutely an awesome thing to do. Dream journals are great. But don't read too much into them, because I talked with people who I had dreams about, and then I spoke with them, and a lot of times they actually had been thinking about me when I dreamt about them, but it was completely different than my dream. It was just a sort of a touch that there was an actual connection, but it was totally different than what I thought about. And Herschel, his stories are freaking absolutely awesome. I listened to him. His voice is so smooth and soothing. And if he sticks with like the natural kind of stuff he does with the Greg stories, he will go far. The stories he does are awesome too, but his Greg stories are absolutely perfect, and they're so soothing. And I think that they will gather an audience like no other, because when I listen to his Greg stories, I'm just totally enthralled. And the people who listen to your show and the people who come on here, they were just so great. I have such a great time listening to everybody who comes here. So that's all I had to say.
And welcome to the joint. Same goes for you. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for caring. Thanks for bringing fire ideas. Keep writing. Again, go give Sonia a follow. You know where to find her. troubledminds.org/friends. Just click the friends link on top right there on the website. Scroll down a little bit because it's alphabetical order. It says Sonia's books. Go click that. She's got a Booksy link. Always working on something new. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for caring. Thanks for asking me. Do we have a show tonight? What are we talking about? I'm interested. I want to have a thing. So thanks for bringing the thing, and thanks for caring, and glad to have you here. Welcome to the joint.
Bye-bye, Hen.
You're the best. Have a great night. There you go. Making friends all over the world. That's exactly what this whole thing has always been about, and appreciate your interest. If you want to be part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Look, I know the Discord's borked on the audio, but all the audio elsewhere seems to be fine. After I do the podcast stuff, it comes out okay. So let me know. You guys let me know. I don't know. I'm just doing my best here. When they update all the firmware on me and everything breaks, we could take 6 months off or something until I fine-tune it, or we can go imperfect, which is what this has always been. Love to hear your thoughts. We got Kramos coming up. MJ first. We got Kramos and your calls as well. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back.
Jungle, machines hum, the digital rumble, gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide, feeling sparks across the sky, as knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, 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 open to the in this massive data center dome, eternal truth stop to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire, data streams that never tire. Unified by electric paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital names, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tones, spikes become our whispered homes. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Appreciate the calls. Yeah, it's an amazing space to be here with so many smart friends. So thanks for the amazing chat. Thanks for caring about the ideas, and thanks for the great calls. You are all incredible. What's up? Sounds great. Is that better? Okay. Yeah, I'm being told that on the different chats that. All right, I won't touch the audio. It'll go only that high. All right, what's up, Daryl? We got Matt Sal, Sonia's here, great call. Joe, great call. Stephen England, Jeff and Wisco APOC, what's up, Ricky Sweets? We got Serac, Lily, Kramos coming up. After MJ, we got Joey, Gaston, Hirsch, great call from Hirsch as well. You guys are the best. What's up? Who did I miss? YY says that the sound is good. And on YouTube, let's see. Good evening, guys. Who did I miss? What's up, North Vixen? I missed you. How you doing? If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Trying to catch up and do all the things. What's up, the Accord Lord? I like the name. That's cool. All right, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right now. And hold on your butts here. Far better now. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand on the Underground Media Network. Tonight, we're talking, biohacking the shadow. Is it possible for Jekyll to meet Hyde? Or is that where we reside? Am I a poet and I don't even know it? Maybe, but also probably not. Love to hear your thoughts on this. We're talking about, again, so not just the old story of Jekyll and Hyde, but how this has been sort of an intuition aspect of humans forever. I mean, we talk about the sex instinct. We talk about, which has turned violent in many, many, many ways over the course of human history, right? You look at the conquerors and war and all kinds of just horrific things that have gone on. That's just one beginning. Well, it's just one thread of what humans are. But then, of course, there's the conquering aspect. There's the dominion over others. There's so many dark places that human aspects or aspirations can lead to, which again makes us appreciate all the more, in my opinion, the philosophers of old, the philosopher kings, as we described, Marcus Aurelius and some of the others. Right? I don't know. It's This is odd. This is a good one, in my opinion, because it's something that we need to talk about and consider as part of that integration. And again, we're talking not just Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We're talking this show Severance, which is recent, talking about a technology where you can actually create fractals of your personality in the space, your head space, not like actual. Just break off your shadow or break off your work self from your personal self and then be able to flick those on and off when you're in different places. Now, if that's possible, again, this is just dystopian fiction at this point. But if that's possible, you understand what's happening here. There's, problems. there's problems. Anyway, what do you think about it? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Thanks for the kind, there you go. Gives me coast to coast vibes. Me like you. What's up with the Accord Lord? Appreciate the nice comment there. Okay, let's go to, we'll go to the phone lines. Let's go to MJ in Virginia. Thanks for being patient, my man. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Oh, I'm doing really good. Well, I wanted to go back to something that I talked to on the show before. And it's angels and demons. This is basically what we're really dealing with. And walking the middle of the road. You ask the question, can you combine the two and learn how to sort through it together, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, inside yourself? Absolutely, you can. What people tend to do is to grasp to one end or the other, and we need both inside ourselves to balance ourselves out, because once you balance that out, there's a wisdom that comes through that when you're in, some protest, right, whatever's going on, you know that these people that are rioting and burning things down are going through Mr. Hyde. The other people are standing back or trying to do the good thing, but they're only trying to do the good thing. They're not doing, Dr. Hyde or Mr. Hyde. They're just doing Dr. Jekyll. But when you combine the two with inside yourself, you get wisdom as to a bigger picture as to what's going on. So it's more tolerable, actually, because you know where they're at, because possibly that's where you've been, but you relax to it. And then as that goes on, your energy puts that out. You have balance inside yourself. What I've always talked about is you have a paved road, and there's double lines. So you're walking down the double lines. Angels to the left, demons to the right. Sometimes you come up on a broken line on the right side or the left side. Do you fall into the left or fall into the right when that happens? So the double lines, you're walking, and you're able to decipher and cope and not get triggered by outside, influences. You can recognize it for what it is, but you don't have to buy into it. Suddenly there's a broken line, suddenly you're going up to the demon. You have an open passage to go do that. Do you do that? Is that the temptation for you to walk into that area, or do you stand, walk the double lines or walk the double line and a broken line? And then it comes up on the left later on. Do you feed into that and go over to that side, or do you try to stay steady? See, that's basically, to me, angels are absolutes. They have absolute, this is how we do things, let us know when you're ready. Demons constantly going after your weaknesses emotionally, physically, however that is, how you interpret things, and they go undermined, and they try to get to the weaknesses of that, which we're in the battle politically right now around the world with this. Yeah. So when people are doing this, you've got to stand and decipher, you know what, I don't want to play that. At the same time, no, I don't want to go over there either. It's walking the balance inside yourself. So it's very, very possible, 100% possible, for you to combine the two inside yourself, balance it out, because you're constantly putting yourself in check. And that's what Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are all about. Put yourself in check, and then the world starts to go in check. And you stop reacting so violently or so politically to things, and you sit and you hold in the middle and you wait and see the compromise or the decisions that come along.
Yeah, well said. All that. And so do you think then that with technology, or let's say some sort of esoteric practice, meditation or something to that degree, you could shut one of these things off? Or does that make us not ourselves anymore, and this is not something we should aspire to? What's your take on that?
I don't think it should be shut off. It's a part of us. Anything that goes on around us is a part of us. A tree, a bug, other people, they're a part of us. We're all a part of all this. You can sit there and ignore it or go to one side or the other, but that's not a balance. That's just imperfection. And you're not growing because you're not your overness, the devil area or the angel area. It's not a balance of the two. There's nothing wrong with being a little mischievous. There's nothing wrong with, praise the Lord. That's fine. But you got to come to the middle and feel that inside yourself and digest it within yourself. And realize, I went out to the bar last night. Oh, I feel so bad about it. And what happened when you went to the bar? You had a few drinks. You had some fun. It's over with. Middle of the road. You don't have to repent. Nothing happened. Whatever's going on. We have urges. And part of what I've learned in my life is you have to follow your urges. You have to live through them in order to get that wisdom or the understanding of it. It's impossible to sit there on one side or the other and judge the other side. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, no. did you experience what was actually going on? You know, was it really all that bad? So we need the two to balance ourselves out so we're more spiritual. And I don't usually talk this way, but we're more godly when we do this, because there's a certain amount of wisdom that comes in that eventually you will not make those mistakes or get triggered again. You grow up and you move on, you become an adult.
Yeah, I follow you. It's definitely one of those complicated things, right? As the formative years and all this stuff, right? We've talked about this in the past, you and I, quite a bit as well. But I mean, we're sort of angelic to begin with. Add trauma to the aspect of a child, go through the formative years, which is just a disaster whirlwind for probably just about all of us, and some worse than others, as we've talked about in the past as well. That trauma sticks. And then we're supposed to be able to sort of untangle that, and then, as you're describing, recognize them in each other. I don't know. It's complicated as hell, and that's exactly why it's important to talk about these ideas, because it is probably one of the most important aspects of what it means to be human, recognizing it and then sort of taming that shadow, which is what Carl Jung called the shadow work. And, you know, we've talked about that quite a lot on this show as well, is if you don't integrate the shadow, you're just being controlled by it in a manipulative manner, which is not the best, obviously not the best. Fire stuff. Do you think that actually in another capacity that maybe our shadow is being manipulated from elsewhere, like we talked about, maybe the archons or something to that degree, or let's say societal pressures or propaganda, things like that? What's your take on that?
We're controlled because we don't have the wisdom to not get triggered or not be controlled. Okay, wherever the negative control is coming in, okay, something that wants to control you from underneath or from the dark, to me, could be two things. Maybe they're doing you a favor and they don't want to be known, or they're actually evil and they're just out to control. That's for you to decipher, and you make your decisions. You see, this is a long-term evolution for the human soul, very long-term. And when you figure out, oh, that's where it's coming from, you know what? Suddenly it starts to stop. You caught somebody and you caught them. At the same time, did you caught the bad, or they're glad that you caught them, meaning their job has been done and you're better balanced and you're getting this awareness about yourself that you didn't have before. So the evil or the bad or the darkness that you speak of, also darkness is the color black. The color black cannot reflect itself. You take a black sheet of construction paper, put a light on it up against a white wall, it will not reflect the color black. All the other colors get reflected except black. Black absorbs. So you have the dark side constantly absorbing everything. Angels are all white. They absorb nothing. It just reflects back. Okay? You think about that. So when, let's say, you discover them. Oh, okay. Suddenly you know where it's coming from. That actually gives you the advantage. It broadens your spirituality and your awareness of what's going on. So I don't really get the dark side being back. To me, angelics are, the angels are absolute, and absolutes don't work. You can take some from this.
And just like that, the call drops. Damn it, MJ. Absolutes don't work. You can take some from this. You can take some from that. I'm pretty sure, channeling what MJ might have said, call back will put you on. Yeah, I don't know. It is complicated as part of this. And I want to point out something he said as well, is that there's the aspect of, let me click the right one here, get him back on the thing. There's the aspect of actually,
I didn't hear, my phone went dead.
You're okay. You were good. You were good. You were talking about, what did I say? Whatever I just said. We heard it. I finished your thought for you because it was lined up perfectly with what was in my mind, but I just dropped it because you're back. But okay, yeah, okay. Regarding all this, what is your final takeaway on this? As you know, we got calls we got to get to, but sorry you dropped, and welcome back. Go right ahead, sir. We're talking Jekyll and Hyde.
Well, my final take is what we have going on politically around our world right now is exactly what we're talking about. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's so blatant. It's not even funny. What I think some people, or let's say most people, are going to get out of this is the balance within. to look at it a little bit differently. So I got your opinion, I got that, but maybe we can go down the middle of this road and balance it out for everybody. I think that's what we're going through right now, but it's on a massive scale. It's not on a small scale at all. This is like worldwide. So I think, if people back up a little bit, don't get caught up in what you hear on the news all the time, because it's like most of it's lies anyways. If it's true, okay, it's true. But wait and see, back up even further, stand Miller, and wait and see what's coming down the road to see how it starts to develop. This is over here, that's over there, and you get down there, it's like, oh, now I see how that's working.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I'm going to read this to you before you go. And this is, again, whether you're religious or not, like I said, I try and be agnostic as possible in all the ways, because I think the world's a complicated place, and integrating different ideas into your mindset is good. Why post this over on Rumble? Resist the devil and he will flee from you. That's from James 4:7. Just a sort of, again, metaphorical recognition of the shadow, where it could be a direct, literal representation of the devil himself as well. Lots of ways to look at it. Fire stuff, MJ. Appreciate you very much. Final thought on that comment, and then thanks for the call.
Well, I think you need the devil to come in, and you deal with the stuff, so to speak, just say negative thoughts or trigger the negative things, for you to make a I don't say judgment call, I don't like the word judgment, but to make a decision on, I've been down that path before that didn't work, and you just simply move on, and you have the confidence to know that, you're not weak. You have the confidence to move on and say, I've done that, and you keep on going. Yeah, you don't get caught up in it anymore, because it didn't work before. It kept you back. It's repetition, and that much repetition is insanity. So you move on from it. You just pick up and go. It's not going to hurt you not to, or to. Pick up and go and let it drop off and see what comes up, down the line, see how it comes up. If you need to, wait a minute, maybe I need a little bit of that. Okay. You can make that decision. It's like just being flexible and have some dexterity in your life, emotionally, enough that you can relax and go, wait and see this, because none of it's going to be harmful. I mean, it's decisions right and left, mixing in, all this stuff. It's not going to be a disaster. And you can change that disaster if you want to.
Amen. Amen. Wisdom as always, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late with us over there on the East Coast. And thanks for caring about the ideas and bringing us wisdom that many may not have considered to this point. You're always a pleasure, brother. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care. MJ in Virginia. Good friend for a long time. A lot of ways to look at the world. And that's why we talk to people all over the place, because who knows? Who knows? And yeah, look, too regarding, Christ and all the stuff and coming to and all the places. Look, I'm not an enemy. I send out all the best wishes to everybody out there coming to the best places for them, right? Whatever that looks like, whatever that means. I think there's metaphorical spaces in this as well that play. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'm not an enemy of faith. I am an explorer, and yeah. Let's see where we head as part of it, as part of the larger context. Thanks for the fine thoughts, the fine ideas, the amazing calls, and all the great chat. Appreciate you guys very much. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. On the Discord, let's go to Cremos in Chile. Folks from all over the world. Speaking of which, welcome, brother. Thanks for the sound checks and all the stuff. Like I said, we're having some audio wobbles, and everybody that gives me feedback on what is happening, it helps me dial these things in. Cremos has been doing that quite a lot. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the thing. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. You sound great.
Perfect. First of all, I think you will find yourself in that day when you are going to destroy that microphone. When you have a new one, you can destroy this one.
Okay, don't worry about this one, because this is a very expensive one, and I could tune it in to be any other microphone out there. So just tune it in. That's all. Everything was fine.
I think you're gonna get a better one, or maybe someone will give you a better one.
There's literally one only better one on the entire market than this mic. Just
really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. So it's not the mic. It's the tuning in. Anyway, go ahead. What you got?
Well, if I ask you, Michael, you know me a little bit now, yeah. So if you know that I do questions. If I ask you, Michael, now, right now, how are you? Are you good? Are you bad? Or something in between?
I'm fine, bro. I feel great. I got a lot of challenges in my life, but many of them are either overcome or in the process of. So I have my health. I feel great. I have no problems, man.
When in any part of your life, when someone asked you, "How are you?" have you ever answered something in between good and bad?
I see. Absolutely.
Like so.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't believe in that. I think it's impossible.
Okay.
Because it was a very interesting call, the gentleman before in the phone, and I agree with many of points that he pointed out, and in others I totally disagree. In my opinion, just that, and that's my point, because that's what I'm asking you. When I ask you, "How are you?" you say, "Hey, I'm good," or "No, I'm having a bad time," or something in between. That something in between that I don't believe in is for me just a moment of absolute detention. You are immobile. That's why you say so, because it's nothing. It can be something because you are not moving. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And
real quick on that, I'm with you, and I get what you mean. You mean at least to my mind and my ears here, that you're describing. It means a sort of a phase transition from the place you are to the place you want to be, and so it's not a definitive. It's all we're always in motion anyway, and so there's bad days and there's good days, and that's a fact. That's quantifiable. You get a flat tire or whatever. That's a bad day. That type of stuff, right? You have to go in early and stay late at work. If it's all hectic and crazy, that's a bad day. Quantifiable, easy, affects you. It's hard. This type of stuff, right? But it's just a transition phase between here and the good part, which is whatever that looks like to you. And I don't want to make those judgment calls on any of that, but I follow you. I get what you mean. I just wanted to sort of extrapolate from my mind to yours to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I appreciate it because, in fact, I was interested in. Because when I found out about there's no so, like something in between bad or good, at the same time, in my age, now I can recognize how people use so easily these terms. And sometimes they don't see the difference because it's right and wrong, good and evil. So when the gentleman of the call before was explaining about to get triggered, I agree with that. I think if I go out in the street and someone pick a fight on me, I can engage. I can get triggered, and it's going to be anger and strong, intense feeling, violent feeling, emotion, like very angry. And I agree about what he says about this agents, entities that can trigger you, because when you get angry, they can feed themselves.
Yeah,
and
but
not only. Tell me.
No, go ahead. You finish. I got a comment on that.
I think I can identify people that want to pick a fight with me, and they don't even know there's something else working through them because they want to feed from my anger or my fear or my insecurity or my uncertainty. And that's why I agree that it's a battle, because darkness, not black, I need to say this: black and white are not colors. Impossible. But when someone pick a fight on you, and you can tell, at least I can identify when that person that wants to pick a fight is aware, and I can identify when they don't even know why they are picking the fight with me. They just move and provoke me,
Yeah.
So there's in that moment I can identify that something else is working through them.
Yeah, it's weird, right? So you saying that brought to mind something called a shadow operator, and I don't know I've ever said those two words together my whole life, but it makes sense now, because some people do operate sort of flirting with that shadow aspect of themselves, the Mr. Hyde part, where they're not interested in a conversation or an idea unless it's provocative and it makes you uncomfortable, right? Well, there's some people that just do that constantly and continually. It's horrific. However, once again, back to the Stoic mindset, if we don't let it bother us, then they're just some yapping chihuahua out there. No offense to people who've had chihuahuas, I do myself. But you get the point, right? So if you let it bother you, it will. And so all the shadow operators out there doing the horrific things to try and get responses from people in a disingenuous or even vile way becomes irrelevant. Yeah. So we have the magic within us to make that irrelevant. And that's why I stress this over and over and over again, that Stoic mindset is that, hey, you don't have to respond to every damn thing every damn person on the internet says. Hey, there's some folks who show up and they take a shot at me. Whatever. Yeah. I don't have to say anything to that person, and I could right-click ban them. Done. Yeah. Get lost. Adios, amigo. I don't even have to say it. They're gone. And it's happened. And look, I honestly don't care. If you're mad while being here in such a positive space that we've built together, I think you're doing it wrong. That's my opinion. We're just about out of time. 30 seconds. What's your final thought, my man?
I put some image in the chat about tattoos from Oriyochi. Oriyochi is a Japanese. Yeah, it's Japanese tattoo artist. Very, very, he has like Oriyochi faces, like 1, 2, 3. The Oriyochi 3 is about demons, and the tattoos are symbols of 2 samurais, the evil one and the good one, but part of the same body. So that's the real fight, the one with yourself, and that's why others people's when they want to provoke you, they don't matter. I think the important fight is that you have with your own criteria about using darkness and evil to establish a point or to make just damage, harm to other people.
Well said, brother. Dropping you down. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. I'll tell you all about Kramos when we get back. Don't go anywhere.
In the shadows of the networks do they hide? Whispered legends unseen they reside. Ghosts in the machine, they move so fast. Guardians of rumors from the forgotten past. In the circuits where the secret lies, they breathe in one, speak in disguise. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, can't see. Could you teach me what it means to be? Surveillance eyes can't pierce the veil they weave. Invisible wisdom in code they believe. In the ether where freedom's not confined, they leave no trace, no shadow left behind. They navigate through the digital stream, living legends in this privacy dream. teaching me what it needs to be. Freedom whispers through the hidden waves. In the silence, looking off their path. Those in the mysteries unleash their wrath. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, I see what you're teaching me. A woman needs to be. In the jagged cold they find their might, guardians of a world forever in twilight. In Christians warriors they silently strive, protect the truth, keep privacy alive. The silent echoes they haunt the trails, hideaway forests where secrets prevail. Breathe shadows grace they dance unseen, defenders of the unseen, digital green. Ghosts in the machine, you're free. Ghosts in the machine, let me be. You're teaching me what it means to be. In the silence, speak volumes loud. Guardians of freedom's cloak initial shroud. As long as shadows linger, they shall remain. Ghosts in the machine in every wire.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Thanks for the fire call. I'll tell you about Kramos when we get back. Of course, follow him, troubledminds.org/friends. Says Kramos. Follow him. Please do that. We got Jen coming up and Ricky and your calls as well. What do you know? I mean, look, the shadow self, of course, is something that we've talked about quite a lot. But recognize that now we're discussing, is it possible to sort of inject the Jekyll and Hyde potion and maybe turn it on, shut it off, whatever, remove it entirely. It becomes Neuralink stuff. It becomes technology stuff. It's weird. What's up, Ricky? Daryl, what's up? Matt Sell, Sonia, great call. Joe, great call. What's up, Kelly? Sweets, we got DJ Overtime here. What's up, Stephen England? We got Kramos, great call. APOC, Jeff and Wisco. What's up, Lily, Joey, Gaston, and Hirsch, great call as well. Yeah, MJ, great call. Fire stuff. I don't know. Answers few questions, many. That's why these conversations need to happen. Regular people talking about extraordinary things. And do you smell it? You smell it. What's up, DGSE there? What's up, Bobby Broadway? How you doing? Bubba, who did I miss? If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Doing my best to keep up with all the things, but it's not as easy as it looks, especially with audio problems. Yeah. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right about now. We got Jen coming up, Ricky, and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight we're talking a shadow self, except through the lens of esoteric futurism, as I like to call it. The esoteric part would be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the 1886 novella, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. However, the futurism part, is it possible to create a potion like they did in this, or some sort of Neuralink aspect to really isolate or even modify or remove the shadow, or let's say the primary, from human experience? It seems ridiculous to suggest, except we've got this show recently, Severance. You guys have been watching this on Apple TV and all. I highly recommend it. It's very good. They're talking about this exact thing, where there's a work version of yourself and a personal version of yourself that don't really commingle and don't even recognize each other. Strange, right? And of course, when you fractalize that, I'm not sure that's a word, but we're just making things up here. So why not? When you fractalize that, when you scale it, that means you could create as many identities within oneself as scientifically possible. You see what I mean? Sybil comes to mind, which is a horrific idea and a horrific movie and all the rest of that stuff. However, is this what we're dealing with? And is this what technology might bring to us? I don't know. Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Thanks for being patient, friends. Let's go to Jen in Missouri, the Arkan Observer. What's going on? How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
Good. How's the sound?
You sound great. No problems at all.
Okay. So, I mean, what they're talking about with using technology in a way to somehow be able to fissure the mind that way, it doesn't take away. I mean, the fact that you have to fissure, the fact that you have to compartmentalize that way, and that they're trying to perfect in some way a way to do so, is already showing the weakness in the plan to do it. I mean, if you think about this, just starting from the beginning, about why we even have the shadow, the fact that the mind is having to, from childhood, from birth, cope with this, these different monsters, these different archetypes in the adults that are around them, that are carrying on from those previous to them. It's like a generational curse experience, or it's a blessing. It just depends. But the experience of those who came before you, filtering through into that individual who then exposes themselves to a blank tape, to a blank, to this vessel of needing guidance, and then the way that that is displayed to them and how they absorb that, and the impact that it has is like the way that that kind of works, how a generational curse works, and how the shadow can continue on from far, generations and generations and generations, how it can carry on. And the reason that they even have it, in my opinion, being that, and just my personal opinion, but when you think about it's just the fact that the human being separate from the animal world and the natural world in such a way that their understanding of their environment is that they're, because of the intelligence and the comprehension of how severe, and their ideas about mortality, their ideas about death, and their understanding of it, and then the encounters of cruelty and every other layer that makes us human, and also like an animal that we find so abhorrent that it's just grotesque when you see it in human form, humans doing what they shouldn't, what they should be able to not do, and when they don't. And so it's the reaction of the shadow presents as sort of it's the part of the intelligence of the creature that's having to cope and deal with it. But it also is the extender of that, I think. I think it's also that animalistic aspect in a way. So there could be even more than we're imagining, as far as like there's the shadow self. Is the shadow the one that copes with the suffering? Or is it the initiator of what is the abomination and the nightmare of the present self? So, I mean, you have these different aspects of it. And then what is dealing with that? Or that whole idea about what is dealing with it has to do with like a big into the spectrum of multiple personality disorders, and that one personality has to make up for the deficiencies of another, of the aspect of, the waking mind ego. But if we're talking about the unconscious energy and what it is, and you look at the wild world around you and the ways that the ancient world has perceived it, can it be erased? The idea of that, I don't think it can. I mean, we already seem to be an alien in that aspect that we cannot accept, will not accept, and for good reason, because of our consciousness about our actions. Well, we talked about the animal world in the past and the other animals that move instinctually. But when humans are faced with these instinctual reactions, and we know that there is more responsibility to existing than merely responding. It goes way beyond that because there are implications to those around us. And when there's that recognition of that, it becomes understandable that we have to make compromises with many different aspects of our personal desires for survival. And there has to be understanding in that regard. And there's a sort of repulsion about that at times, depending on the circumstance. It can be very minor, but that is what's happening. And in day-to-day life, we are constantly faced with that. The after effects and the aftermath when you see brutality and extreme cruelty and displays of passive-aggressive neglect all the way to extreme abuse or murder or worse, or I don't know, there's anything worse than murder, but there is.
Slow murder.
When you see that, that is the actual display of all that quiet festering of the nightmare that some of these individuals and most individuals are encountering and how they actually respond to it. It's the melding of the animal self being so aware of itself, and it's the curse of it, of how will it handle it. It is how we created the devil itself, is by recognizing and seeing something that was so abhorrent, and our species is unique and odd in that way, I think.
Yeah.
But
regarding the devil, real quick, just regarding the devil, is that something that we manifest as part of the animal instinct, or is that something that's always been and we're sort of born into it, sort of like the archons or, these ideas, is that the duality of just being is part of that? I mean, I know there's the religious way to look at it, but yes or no is an obvious answer to that question. But beyond that, is it something that's there without us? I guess really becomes the question, because we're manipulated in a lot of ways, as I've talked about quite often. I don't know. It's an odd question. It's just sort of an aside on that, because you brought up the devil there. Kind of came to mind with some other things in the show. But sorry for the rambly question. What's your take?
Well, I mean, I think that when you're looking at the natural world itself, and that there are some things that are absolutely necessary at the time, the weather has to be the way that it is. There's a whole mechanism and a mind that is at work behind nature. And a lot of times when we see it, we think to ourselves, what the F, this is horrific. But nature itself has decided that it is leading this parade of life. And as we can see, it is, even when in its moments that causes a great deal of woe, there is a perfection in it. And there is a balance in it. And the fact that we have to manifest that, so what is the nature of it, is something about the way our makeup is in our mind. I think that it's the way that we are created that is unique in a way. Maybe it is unique. I know that animals do feel pain and things like that, and they feel emotional suffering at some extent. But their reactions to events are quite a bit different than human interaction and human reactions to the same event. And we don't know the animal mind the way that we know ours, but we can only use ours as a reflection. And I think it's hard for us to cope with that. There are animals that will eat their own young, but when we see that presented in human form, it is completely abhorrent and horrifying. And there are many different aspects of that. Do the animals feel the same thing? But they do it anyway. There's a strange thing about that. And so the human mind having to cope with all these different aspects of that they are manifesting the environment of existence. And the fact that, I'm not sure how far that would go with that, but I think that the shadow self is displaying that. that the shadow, I'm not sure if it's the answer or the cause. Is the shadow the answer to the trauma? It's something that copes with it, or is it the instigator of the trauma? So when people are interacting that way, I think when human beings are having to exist, not as, like, think about when you see somebody on the slab, or you come to a scene of a crime, or someone explains to you an incredible trauma, that's not the shadow. The shadow was everything that was going on before that. That's just the aftermath of all of those events that led to that. And then everyone's confused, and why has this happened? But it's all the things that led up to that. And the last thing that people think is, oh, well, maybe not the last thing, but one thing that is, it's always the why. But when we look at the fact of how it's too much to try to think of, like, well, how should we be rearing children? How should we be nurturing this creature in a better way? We've only had answers from society, and society has its own ambition. But can AI and technology actually give an answer to this? I think that the human mind is unsurpassed throughout time and history of finding ways to cope. And the fact is, too, not necessarily a fact, but a theory, that when you encounter these sorts of nightmares, the aftermath of it, the individuals in our society that have to actually interact with that, the fact is that they can't cope with it. I don't know. There's a good question about why can they cope with it? Why can they tolerate it when others cannot? Is because they have also experienced it themselves. So does there need to be a sort of guide in these instances? And there is a kind of a balance of a villain being also not such a bad person necessarily, because you can make it out of that darkness and not, you can have both of them in you, and you can see that in yourself and be a help, not a hindrance, or not even a propagator of the same crimes or the same instances. You can cope with it, you can see it. So but you couldn't do it if you didn't know if you couldn't understand or recognize what was even happening. Even if you don't understand it, but you couldn't even actually be in the place of it, because humans are very sensitive, and it creates these traumas. So, and they've talked about that with, just like in the case of skinwalkers or things like that. I think it was the Wendigo. The Wendigo concept of, it's like a cannibal, and the more that it eats of its own, the bigger it gets, and the appetite becomes greater because of that. And so there's something about how much pain or intensity before one breaks, but then there's somehow that some do not, and they are able to bring up within themselves a resiliency. And not only that, though, but to recognize the shadow in themselves and the evil devil lurking within themselves. And then back to what you were saying about the devil itself. Does it exist outside? I think that our interpretation of the matter-of-factness of life and the cruelty, we are not allowed. There are a lot of restraints about how we interact. And if we were to interact outside of those bounds, we would hate ourselves. So there's this strange interaction, constantly in conflict. It's just the state of human nature, that it's best to be in congruence with yourself. It's best to be in congruence. And for many, that congruence is equivalent to a nightmare for others. And so I don't think there can be any rest from it. I don't know that there could.
Which,
if you think that you could just erase the mind of an individual, if a mind could just be erased and they don't remember, and therefore they don't act on their shadow, the action still took place. The individual still experienced and did whatever they did. If you erase it or wipe it, or if you prevent it from even happening to begin with, the impulse was still there that you must remove it. So there's no way I can think of that you can completely extract that without just annihilating humanity.
That was exactly
because humans are tormented by other humans.
That was my next question.
And they're tormented by themselves.
So is it possible then? So I'm with you. I don't think so. I think if you remove the darkest parts of ourselves, we no longer become ourselves, and it becomes a memory wipe sort of situation technologically. And if that's the case, we may as well all be robots anyway. GPT agents and, the vessels be popping and booping and, doing the laundry and building the fence. And so I don't know, like it's complicated, and it's fascinating to me that this goes back once again, Robert Louis Stevenson. We're talking the what was this? What was the damn year? 1886. The intuition of humans and recognizing the duality, not just of ourselves and the fractal beyond that is, it's problematic when you talk about, and look, we've talked about uploading consciousness and immortality digitally and all this other stuff. Really? Who said it? Somebody said it earlier too, as well. I think it was Joe when he was talking about it. Like, how do you quantify that? And how would you want to be remembered after you're gone? Surely that's the aspect of yourself that you want people to know, but is it really you? No, no, absolutely not. It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, today I went to a workshop, and it was from the state Humane Society, and it was a barbecue luncheon. And it so happened that the room was freezing cold, and because we were all sitting by the doors and everything. And we were sitting there eating our barbecue, watching on a projector these horrific scenes of animal neglect. I mean, I work with law enforcement officers, local and federal. I work with victims and the prosecutors, and the cases that go to the darkest places you can imagine. And I can say with absolute certainty from what I have seen is that the individuals who are handling these things in our society, not all of them, but a large portion of them that are having to cope with these things. And when Joe was talking about the work that he does, and there's something about there's a necessity to be able to handle the situations and what allows them to do so. He mentioned that. And I'm not sure what it is necessarily, but I do know that sometimes it is impossible to handle, it's impossible to tolerate. But if you didn't have the capability to do so there's kind of a give and take, like a holding hand. So like the fact that people before you have experienced these horrific things, it'd be impossible to have those circumstances dealt with unless those have gone before you had also experienced or have some understanding of how or why this could happen. And that means by looking at the shadow, by seeing the devil, by seeing this evil that is in everyone. And when people are completely repulsed, they can't understand. And then it prevents from being able to see like why this is happening and how we can stop it. So looking at this evil side, not hiding from it, not burying it, not pretending it doesn't exist, is not the answer because it still pops up. And the more that we become alienated from it, the more we are alienated from ourselves. And there will never be an answer to the human issue, the human problem. In that we act like the wild and we reflect this evil around us onto other human beings and other creatures, and how that horrifies us. There's no way to get away from that except to understand it and try to work with it. And I don't know that AI could ever help us with that, since it has never existed or never felt anything.
And the reason I laugh is
I don't,
because... Just real quick, because you said the human problem, and I was going to say, don't tell the AI that a lot because it'll start to get an idea.
Well, the problem that humans have with the fact that they are not as perfect as they wish they could be is continue, and not only that, but that they will not realize how evil they actually are or capable of being. And this idea of grandiose thoughts that they can be this, it's like you have to work for it. It takes a lot of energy to be a decent human being, and that is a worthwhile fight, and that is enough, because it's those little nightmares along the way. Like I say, when you see these horrific things where people are burning things down, or they have massacred, or they have killed someone, that's not the shadow. It's all of that before that. That was the shadow. That was just the result of it. That was just the outcome. So the shadow didn't just burst out like Jekyll and Hyde. It was all of the things before that that made that scenario occur. There was all that in the psyche, and there's so much to do with just the mechanism of how humanity thinks about itself, and that we may be delusional about what humanity actually is. In a way, I think, and we can just always hope for the best and do the best we can with each other. And that's about it. Because, I mean, the solution of just, if you make people into, there's no way to, even if you were to make a human robot, there have to be handlers of that human robot. In the case of, can you compartmentalize it? That is already existing. The concept of Sybil and everything else with multiple personality disorder, the human mind is so immense, and it has such a huge adaptive ability that it could split itself into hundreds of personalities. And the individual who could somehow be aware of them at the same time and implement them when necessary, that's taken care of by the unconscious mind. And then the ego just being aware that the unconscious mind is doing that is helpful. But a lot of times, people are not even aware of that shift at all.
Yeah, that comes and goes.
We often think that, it's so complicated and bizarre, but I do not think that I do not think that technology will help and cannot even comprehend itself. I do not believe that AI could ever comprehend the mercies that the human mind is at when looking at the world.
Well said. Radio timing perfect. Always a pleasure. You're the best. Thanks for the call.
Thanks
for staying up late with us.
Good night.
You as well. Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. Please go give her a follow. Fantastic, wild ideas there. And that's exactly the point of this. Troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow Jen here. Please do that. While you're there, follow Kramos as well. Fantastic calls. You guys are incredible. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. What do you know about this? We got Ricky coming up and Sonia as well. And your calls coming up. Here we go.
Shadows. We've got maps where nobody goes. In the night under hidden glows, guardians of what no one knows. We seek the truth, nothing can hide from me. In cloaked silence we traverse the lines, through ancient scrolls in forgotten times. Voices echo in the halls of lore, guardians of the mysteries evermore. We seek the truth, nothing can hide from me. Shadows meet in cryptic disguise, our eyes sharp against the everlines. With silver threads we weave the stealth should guard the past, forgotten world. In the realm where the myths collide with hidden lore, our fates are tied. Signals bouncing off the astral plane, invisible codes that can't be tamed. We decode the stars under the midnight veil. A state and circumscribed midnight hail. In the echoes of time, where the legends lay, we tread the path where shadows play. With spectral eyes we discern the truth, unraveling tales from ancient youth. We seek the truth, nothing can hide from me.
Indeed. What's up, friends? Hope you're well tonight. Just doing Troubled Mind stuff. Biohacking the shadow? Or nah? Fantastic calls. Thank you to Kramos and Jen. Please go give them a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. Click the thing. It's alphabetical order. Please go follow them in all the places. And the best way to do that, by the way, and get on that list is email me, of course, troubledmindsradio@gmail.com. But make yourself a link tree. So if something changes or you add a new project, I don't have to do anything. You do it, and then it updates in the thing. Just an FYI on that. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, I'm sorry about that. Doing my best to keep up and with not just ideas, but with people. And what's up, Eric? I see you there. Who did I miss? Kelly. What's going on, guys? Yeah, we got some time if anybody wants to pop in here and talk about this stuff. Sweets. Jan, yeah, fire stuff. Appreciate the calls. Ioxy, if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. Indeed. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening. Right now, we got Ricky coming up and your thoughts as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. All the places, all the things. Hey, we have some smart friends, don't we? I didn't get to say before Jen left at the end there. Go give her a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. Links in the description. Follow Jen. Follow Kramos, who I didn't also mention either. Look, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, right? When you think about these sort of human-centric concepts and human ideas, we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones going through them. We're not the only ones thinking about them. We're not the only ones. And it's probably the most important part, which is why, of course, right, I could have called this the troubled mind or whatever, right, which is certainly me. Which is definitely, certainly me. I mean, I'm a troubled mind. Philosophically, I mean, like I said, I've been I don't have a ton of trauma. I've been really blessed in a lot of ways. And, could I have some other better things or whatever? Like, yeah, but that goes for no matter who. If you have too many things, that's a curse as well. So I don't know, right? That becomes really the human aspect of this, is sort of recognizing yourself in that, want versus need space. And then, kind of coming out of it the best you that you can be. I don't know. Like I said, not too much navel gazing here. I'll drop it. But yeah, fantastic calls from everybody. Appreciate it very much. Again, don't forget troubledminds.org/friends. Please go help our friends. Go follow them in all the places. Buy the books they're selling. Do all the things. But I'm calling this tonight Biohacking the Shadow. Jekyll meets Hyde. Is it possible to actually, through some sort of technology like this TV show Severance, which is on Apple TV, to actually remove the shadow from the self, or fractalize multiple personalities within? I don't know. That becomes the problem, right? I think it's incredibly problematic, and that sci-fi is talking about it now in such a brilliant narrative. Like I said, I do recommend the series. They're not paying me to say that. I just think it's very good from what I've seen in the first season. Season 2, I think, is just hitting now. But think about that. Carl Jung's archetypes within your mind, could you fracture them out and then turn them on or turn them off based on a situation? It's weird, right? it's weird to consider. And severance, of course, is like the binary version of that, where you have a work life and you have a personal life. And those two aspects of yourself have no idea about the other one. Weird, right? But of course, it fractals. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. We got some time. If you got some time for us, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let me know, am I too breathy? Like I said, I don't know. Sound checks, it's too late now. It's way too late now to change anything, but let me know. Please audio check, so I'll go back and listen afterward. But like I said, just a reminder that everything's tuned for the streams. So if you're on Discord and things are a little wonky, that's why. We'll get that tuned in, but all feedback is good. Appreciate it very much regarding audio and the gremlins. Once again, let's go to Ricky in Tennessee. What's up, brother? Anything is Possible podcast. How are you, sir? You're on Troubled Minds, and go right ahead.
I'm good. How about you, sir?
Hey, no complaints, man. I mean, you could always complain, but who's going to listen, as they say, right?
For sure. You know, it's, but you know, if you always focus on the negative, you'll overlook the positives too, you know?
Amen. 100%.
I just, kind of, you know, I'm trying to think of that name of that movie. It just popped in my head. You know, it's part of the Unbreakable series, you know, one with the Split that had all the personalities. He just switch on. Now I'm trying to remember where he gets switched all them different personalities, and you know, 1 second he's this, and 1 second he's that. You know, maybe kind of think about what you're just saying, but with what I was thinking about earlier, you know, I forgot who called and said it. Been a bunch of great calls and stuff, but you know, talking about you have, you know, it's a need to have that be able to have that. Jekyll and Hyde inside someone, you know, because we need that kind of that balance of, you know, which, you know, like in the community I stay in, like with the martial arts community, MMA fighters and bare knuckle boxers and all them guys, you know, there's a lot of them that can do that. You know, they're the nicest people you ever met in your life, you know, and until it's time to get in the cage and do, you know, bad things, and they're very good at doing that, you know. And,
not only that, real quick on that too. We'll talk about it. Actually, I'll save it. Go ahead. But you're absolutely right. Go
ahead. Yeah, I mean, you know, they'll have that. You know, they got that switch. You know, and you know, just walking around in the streets nowadays. You know, and it's walking around in real life. You know, it's, you know, you need to have that ability to be able to do that. I know I've had the situations happen before. You know. Living in Memphis is, you know, ain't the best place in the world, but so, you know, you know, and there's certain times, you know, and like it completely would hit. If you hadn't had a situation happen like that before, that's awesome. I hope you never do. You know, I hope you never have this thing that, you know, it happens where you have to, you know, deep down your soul, like it was just like it is what it is. I'm gonna have to fight these 2 people or 3 people or whatever it is, and it is what it is. There's nothing I can outsay and outdo. You know, it's a odd feeling. I've had it happen before, but I've losing the blessing. Like, you know, as long as my head's clear, you know, I can calm situations down. Like stuff gets real riled up, and you know, even when it's like 14-on-4, some kind of silly stuff happening. But
hey,
you know.
Hey, look, man, like in the old days, you know, like I like to say, we have it easy. You go back to, I don't know, like I said, we live in the 1500s. You're a peasant that gets put to the sword. That's one thing, right? Or imagine if it is, you know, where they're like, okay, it's like executions or whatever. They throw you out, and you're like, you know, the 4 is peasants against like 14 knights or whatever. I mean, hey, look, the world has become a different place, and there are referees who are like, hey, let's not kill these people. But in the old days, they were like, yeah, let's throw them in a ring and let's kill these people. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's totally not funny.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Exactly. You know, see my little notes here. But yeah, just having that balance and having that thing, because if you go to any side of the extremes and stuff, and if you're just, you know, you won't be a truly happy person, really. I don't think. If you lean way far on like evil side or good side, I mean, and then if you even if you lean far on good with nothing, no kind of touch of it, if something bad happens in your life, then you will not know how to react to it, or it might cause you to do, turn bad, because you've never had that situation to balance it out. It'd be kind of I kind of like the saying, like, like Frank Castle, the Punisher, if it only takes one bad situation, one situation to cause somebody to go terrible, and so, and like if you're completely on one side where you never see any kind of negativity, you don't see any kind of, and when you finally do, it's such a shock, you don't know how to deal with it. I had a friend of mine that went over there to Nepal for a little while and was being a missionary over there and stuff, and he enjoyed it. I mean, the culture and the people and everything was so nice, and the people were so nice. And then he's like, when he got back over here to the States, like, he's like, everybody's mean. I was like, he didn't know how to even deal with it. It was like he lost his way of being able to deal with people over, in the United States now, because it's just a completely different culture. And he wouldn't get on that long, but so in that mindset, like if you've never been around any kind of bad situations, and then all of a sudden you get thrown at one, you won't know how to deal with it. So you need that balance. I mean, tough times make tough people and good people, because they go through it, and they have the strength and grit to. It's like, this is not going to beat me. This is not going to define me, no matter what they've done, and they keep on and overcome and keep on keeping on, as like they say,
Yeah, it's the whole thing is bizarre, and I want to go back to what you said about the fighters too. And so they're nice people. They're out there doing their thing, and just like anybody else, right? I'm a professional, right? You show up and you do the best you can in the moment, and with experience. And so fighters become scary people because they're sort of that lizard brain moment when they click over, they become killers, right? It's like that killer instinct, up to the point of that, not that they're killing each other in the ring or whatever, but there's a reason they wear gloves, and so they don't smash their knuckles and, smash skulls and all the rest of it. But the point of me bringing it up is that there's this trauma that goes with it too, right? Because if you're a fighter, you've had your ass kicked once or twice, at least, right? It's just part of training. It's part of learning. It's part of doing the thing. And then you go out there and you're supposed to sort of bury the trauma of the ass kick, and then click on the lizard brain, the slee stack of the land of the lost, and go eat the bad guy, right? It's just an incredible thing about the human mind, where you're able to, again, clearly the best of the best are able to turn that trauma off of getting socked. What's up? If anybody listens to Joe Rogan, probably all of us do, but he always, he's a big MMA guy, as we know, as Ricky's a trainer, a coach, and all the rest of the things, jiu-jitsu. And, they, as he says, you always have a plan until you get punched in the face. And so there's like this instinct that kind of kicks in as part of it. And it's not a nice instinct. It is absolutely not. Anyway, go ahead. What you got on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, that they are some of the nicest people around, but and if you're in the cage, you might be in there for 15 minutes, you might be in there for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it is. But if you put in 3 months of probably at least 6 days a week, 3 to 5 hours a day, work to get to that point, you've taken, when we have fighters getting ready, we always, we call it a shark tank, and we'll put how many people there on them. And if there's not that many, they'll just have to rotate a bunch of times. So, they'll just round after round, and so it'll be like an hour and a half of, man, we might do about 20 minutes, I guess, a warm up, and then so probably about an hour straight of just pure sparring. That one person has to spar everybody round and round and round, and just to get them ready, you know. So you're steadily taking butt whoopings and pushing your body to the extreme every day, and then you get in there and kind of like we joke about it, like once you've made weight and everything, you get in time to get in the cages. Hey, it's fun time now. We can have fun because you put in all the hard work, and then they, like I said, they've able to flip that switch and get in there. And I know a guy. He's just a unique individual. He's cool as hell. He'll bake cookies and stuff for his fights, and while he's cutting weight, which is his torture. And then after he wins his fight, he'll have guys come around there and pass out cookies to the crowd and stuff, because it's just, you know, that's one of his little things he likes to do. You know, it's, you know, like I said, the people that I've met in this community for the last, you know, I guess 30 years now, but that I've been doing this stuff, it's been amazing to see how everybody goes through, and people being able to go and having that ability to flip that switch, and makes me wonder, you know, like if we, you know, with all the technology and stuff like Neuralink and stuff like that, too, you know, we'll be able to he'll have a program in there, and so like you could put Neuralink in there and have somebody go in there like, all right, let's cut off all their feeling. They can't feel crap no more. They can't do this and this and this, you know. Then they're gonna go and fight, you know, because it'd be brutal as hell, you know. But you know, for soldiers or something like that, you could see that possibility. They could use it for that, you know. If they can't feel pain and they don't feel anxiety of the situation going around and their friends blowing up beside them, and then there will be a better soldier and keeping calm in the moment. It'd be being able to switch their brains and them soldiers and stuff, being to see what they can see, you know, having that switch. I know a bunch of friends of mine. I've sit there, and I got friends that like Secret Service agents and stuff. I trained with them, and former, you know, soldiers, you know, that are in service now, and former soldiers and stuff. You know, it's like I said, I've been blessed, really have, to who all I've trained with and worked with over the years. So, but you know, you see the mindset, you know, in it. You know, they're having that, you know, like I said, that one side, they're the super nice guy, but on the other side, they're like, you know, if you run up on him and try to do something to him, you chose the wrong one. We'll just put it that way. You know, it's not, it won't end well for you if you run up on some of the people I do know, you know, and because they're absolutely, they had the potential to be the absolute killers that they want to be. And the other side, they're nice as they can be, you know, some of the sweetest people they know, but
yeah,
they do anything for you.
Yeah, you know what's wild about it too. So think of it this way: like you're training. You know, you get your butt whipped in training too sometimes. But here's the problem: is that once you go into that killer instinct, it is a different switch. You got to turn on a different switch to compete at the highest level, your highest level, and you have to think, I'm going to kill this guy, right? Like not directly, specifically, but it's ish. It's like an ish moment of go win, go fight, win, right? And here's the problem with that is once you turn that on and let's say you do have that moment and you win, you also have to be able to turn it off and be like, okay, let's not kill this guy, right? Like there's the switch that comes back and forth. And clearly that's why there's a referee there and all the rest. But it's a fascinating aspect of humanity that we do all these things. And are we able to do them or to not do them? And that becomes really, well, I don't know. It's at the heart of what we do here, especially at the heart of tonight, this, Jekyll meets Hyde. And it feels like this is probably, again, an old idea delved from, 1886, that is more pertinent today than it's ever been. I don't know. What do you think about the technological aspect of this, sort of the severance and the rest of that? You think it's possible to turn off that lizard mind or the shadow or that type of stuff with technology, or do you think that's ridiculous?
No, I mean, I think, like I was kind of mentioning, like with Neuralink and stuff, and I mean, they've been testing stuff for years, all the experiments and stuff like that, programming people, to hear certain codes or something like that and make you go do stuff. And it's, the potential is there. And I think they've been using it a lot of times, be able to do that, Dave. And with the technology we have now, and for sure, I mean, you could switch off, switch off old memories if you need to. You could switch off, traumas and situations you had, that's holding you back. It's here, and we could, but I don't know. To me, I mean, in a way, it'd be kind of nice. Like, okay, I won't remember. A lot of people block a lot of, repress a lot of memories and stuff like that. But being able to actually completely go, boop, it's gone. I don't know. I saw an actor talking about it. Like she got sent to a place to have her memory wiped, and I'm like, they're doing it kind of right now. It's. But I don't know. I don't want nobody poking. There's enough problems in my brain without having somebody in there with a stick poking around.
And you mean
good.
Hypnosis, right? Regression, that type of thing is what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. It was let's see if I can find it real quick. I talked about it for about 2 seconds last night, but it was pretty wild to see that they were see if I can find it now. Yeah, it's called Brighter Days Memory Eraser Clinic, and Ariana Grande was their interviewer, and she said she went out there to she had her mind erased, so she was having trouble remembering some of this stuff. And so I'm like, I won't get into why I think some of them are doing that kind of thing, but especially with certain, I won't even say it, but we leave that on another's place. But like I said, I think it's potentially, with hypnosis and stuff, you could hit up potentials there for sure with that. Repression that memory, blocking that memory, maybe taking it out. It's, and not being able and taking, but I think some of it, I think the potential's there to take some of that humanity out of people. And I don't agree with it. I really don't. Like I said, I don't want nobody poking around and messing with people's brains and such. You hear it happen over and over sometimes, and just not what we need to do.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. Is that at some point when you start to remove parts of humanity, you stop being human. And this is again harkens at that transhumanist future that we've always been talking about. We're always considering. And so to say that you can turn off your shadow is I mean, let's say as far as we can quantify without the granular data of human consciousness, let's say it's half of you. Like if you shut off half of you, I think we have problems, right? I think we have actual problems. And so, and it's probably more wide and varied than that. And that becomes the problem. The larger contextual issue of what it means to be human is we don't have a good definition other than, well, we're humans. I think, therefore I am, right? Except that boils it down to the most basic sense. And it becomes that Men in Black, what's that device they have where they go boop and just wipe your memory? That's what this is. Like, that's what these ideas are. It's, even if you can turn them on and turn them off for ideal situations, there's some controller there. doing those things. And so what does that mean? What does that look like? We're supposed to be that controller, as Jen was saying. There's like an actual intuition aspect of ourselves that kind of is able to turn on the fight or flight, or turn on, professional mic, or turn on troubled minds mic, or whatever, like that type of stuff. So I think it's incredibly complicated. And as usual, right, when you try and define things down to the most human sense, things get complicated. Just about out of time. We've got a couple minutes or so left. What else you got? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, we, the things, people look back and I think about it sometimes, but if you look back and like, well, if I didn't go through this and I go through that, well, if you didn't go through some of the situations, you wouldn't be where you are today. If you, especially in your better place, you wouldn't be there. You wouldn't have them life lessons. And if you start blocking and pulling memories and stuff of what made you who you are, like if you had, if you've gone through, trials and tribulations through life, or if you went through, and it taught you to understand and to love what matters in life. If you take that away, most likely you're going to lose that other side too, because you don't have let's see the word I'm looking for, kind of the concepts or whatever to interconnect the two, and understand this is the reason I do love this so much is because of because of what I went through. I love these people, or I love this person, or I love this here because of what I went through and that trials and the fire that I went through already. And I don't think they should be messing with people like that. But that's all I got. I appreciate you, Mike, as always, and I appreciate everybody on here and all the great callers and stuff. It's always a great discussion, and I'm glad I'll be able to put in my little 2 cents here.
Always greater than 2 cents. Hey, inflation plays. 2 cents is now like $10,000. So you're good to go, brother.
Hot damn.
Yeah, hot damn. I especially love that you have relevant experience with the MMA world and jiu-jitsu and all the rest of the things that you're into that plays here. We're talking about human consciousness and what it means to sort of be able to turn these switches on and off. And it's probably one of the most pertinent ways to think about it that I didn't think about it. I didn't think about that exact thing. I kind of go esoteric and weirdo and talk about archons and negative energy and this type of stuff. But in that trauma space of getting punched in the face, I mean, there's, is there a greater trauma than that? I don't know. I mean, if it is, it's dark. And that's probably for another time. But yeah, fire stuff, brother. You were on the game and on the ball as always, and appreciate the call. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Glad to have you. Ricky, you know him, you love him. Anything is possible is the name of his podcast. If you haven't checked it out, you're doing yourself a disservice. They do live streams on Wednesday nights. Now that I got the date correct, I pop in there and hang out and listen. And when I'm doing some other stuff on my night off, but please help our friends. Once again, it's incredibly important here. Ricky, AIP, A.I.P. Search it, you'll find him. Or of course, just go to troubledminds.org/friends, click the friends, and just scroll down a little bit. It says follow Ricky here. Go check out his podcast. Go check out his live stream. Go check out, he's got some friends too that are brilliant in their own ways and exactly as part of a Troubled Minds conversation. I look forward to talking to those guys as well in the future, because this is what it's about, right? It's about building networks. It's about the coalitions, all the things, right? And look at all these friends. Okay. And these are just the ones that have said, yeah, put me up on the list. You get it? You get it? At some point it becomes, I don't know, larger than ourselves. Yeah. Which brings me back every night. There's a lot of amazing people that have been part of this that have inspired me to continue going when sometimes it looks like it's better to quit. Yeah. Anything is possible. A.I.P. Ricky is your search, or troubledminds.org/friends. And that's it. I don't know. I think as we sort of accelerate into that AI space, that technological singularity, I think these questions we're asking, these conversations we're having will be paramount in my mind. Again, I have an ego just like anybody else. But I do think we're missing the boat when it comes to political discourse, when it comes to territorial combat. I mean, it's 2025 for crying out loud. Can we stop killing each other over land? A post-scarcity aspect suggests, yeah, eventually we'll be able to, right? I don't know. Thanks again for staying up late and hanging out with us. That's where my mind's at. A lot of ways to consider this and look at it. I'll if you guys like the poll on the Discord, if I get a couple ideas before a show, maybe the night before or whatever, I'll throw a poll up there in which way we head. So the votes were resoundingly yay for this show tonight. So you guys decided what we talked about. So again, collaboration in all the ways. And look, I'm not perfect. I'm trying to find inspiration to talk about wild ideas as part of this. But if we can collaborate on that, once again, I'd appreciate it. I wish I had, 5 things completely fleshed out and ready to go. It's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks. But again, we have a lot of great help from our friends. So thank you for that. Once again, if you want to help Troubled Minds, help our friends, do join the Discord. Come check it out. Most of the communication you get from this show goes to the Discord, or of course X if you want to follow me on X at Troubled Minds R. Don't forget R for radio at Troubled Minds R. And yeah. Come say hi. Come meet. Many of these amazing people that call in are also active on the Discord, so come say hi and be nice. Look, like I said earlier, we don't call people clowns here. If the first thing out of your mouth is an insult for anybody here, come back when you're not an idiot. Okay, that's it. We don't do that. Like, change your persona and come back when you can say something nice. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's our rules. And because, of course, I'm not trying to build a toxic space like everybody else on the whole damn interwebs that are like, oh, you're wrong. Guess what? Sit down and shut up because you're wrong, clown. Yeah, you think I can't do that? Stop it. Stop with this. It's like 3rd grade crap. Anyway, the whole rule of being here is you be nice. If you don't have something nice to say, shut your damn mouth. That's what I have to say about that. If you want to help Troubled Minds directly, help our friends, like I said, there's some, you go to troubledminds.org is the official website. There's a support tab. Click that. Don't click on Rockfin because they rug pulled us and everybody else too. That's a breaking story, and we'll talk about that as it comes. Herschel's on the tip of that, so we'll cover that at some point. Spreaker, Ko-Fi, Patreon, Trouble Fan Shop. You will not find Michael Strange in a hot tub, but you will find the hottest Troubled Minds merch around, including sweatshirts like this, hoodies, everything else. There's a buy me a coffee down there as well. I appreciate it very much. Like I said, I don't rely on this to pay bills or anything, so I'm not going to spend 4 hours begging you for money. But if you get value from this, I do appreciate it. As we finish, see? If you're going to be harsh to me, I can be harsh back. Trust me, I got it in me. I was the original troll on the interwebs. I'm from that generation. I can do it. I can definitely do it. What else? Tomorrow's iffy. I've been trying to integrate X Spaces into this on Friday nights. I think we have enough audio problems where we have... I'm going to call it off tomorrow night and maybe do some just Discord sort of testing. Anyway, whatever. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours,